than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your fly. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing bottom line. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird, too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals. But I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. This announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, We were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There's only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more. No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen? They play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Yay!
Can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here.
With Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
You're not even a has-been. You're number one. You're number one.
7:06 Wednesday. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, January 17th. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Remember, you can call us at 631-672-3108 is the number to call. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey every Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune into the show is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Speeder, what is up, man? It is not snowing here. It was snowing the other day. It was yesterday. It was snowing, raining. It was disgusting. There was a lot of snow in Toronto. I will get into that in just a few moments, but how are you?
I'm doing all right, surviving the cold. It was icy yesterday, definitely, for sure, and definitely a lot of rain throughout the week, too. It was storming on Friday a little bit when I was with Josh. It was an interesting experience. I saw Eric in person as well for the first time in 4 years since we were at a different location with our show, but it definitely was interesting, and definitely enjoyed the fact that both the Eagles and the Cowboys both got smoked.
And boy, did they ever. We will get into that a little bit later in the show, but I know a lot of people reached out to me during my time in Toronto and Niagara, okay? And I will say this. It is a beautiful place. Niagara is beautiful. You get to see the falls in Canada. You could get to see the falls in New York. And everybody asks me, which was better? What was nicer to look at? I don't know. I don't know how you quote which one's nicer than the other. All I could say is, hey, the falls was beautiful. I mean, the lights at night, wonderful. So I went to Niagara for a couple of days and Toronto, and everybody asked me, how was your vacation? And I'm going to say it was a vacation from hell, okay? And I'm going to get into it as quick as I possibly can because I'm only going to say it once for all the fans out there listening to the show and you want to get to know how my vacation went. Here it goes. Thursday morning, we got up, She met me here at my house, my girl. We go to the airport. We get to LaGuardia, ladies and gentlemen. And I bought this suitcase because I did not want my suitcase to go under the plane, because the last time I went on a plane trip, they lost my luggage for at least 45 minutes until I found it. So I did not want to experience that again. So we go up to the attendant, and the attendant tells me that we don't have any room. We don't have any room on our plane. So what we're going to do is it's going to be free, but we're going to put it under the plane. So I was pissed off already. I was heated getting on the plane. We get on the plane, we get there, we pick up the car. But I'm not even, actually, I forgot this part. We get to the airport. We get on a shuttle. We get to where we need to go because we're supposed to be picked up by the car dealership. So we go down. They tell us to make a phone call. There's a number right on the board on our car dealership, which I am going to mention York car dealership. Okay. In Canada. It was in Toronto. We called 5 times. I left 5 messages and nobody answered back. Nobody called back. And I was heated. So everybody was getting picked up. There was all different car dealerships, picking car places, picking up people. And I'm sitting there with her, and we're arguing. You're yelling at each other. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you in my language on what I was saying, but it wasn't good. So we finally decided to order an Uber after 50 minutes standing in this little box of hell. We get picked up. An Uber picks us up. We go and we put up, it was 600 Dixon Road, blah, 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 in Toronto. We get there and it's a Holiday Inn. And I'm looking at it. This doesn't look like a car place. Where the hell are we? And I'm sitting there. She's pissed off. I'm laughing in disgust. And then I realize I walk up. I got to go up a hill all the way to the back of the Holiday Inn to find where the dealership is. Now, you can't get in there because there's no way in unless you're pushed in by a button, and only the Holiday Inn could do that. And we're not staying at the Holiday Inn. So we told the Uber driver to take our bags out, and we're going to walk all the way up the hill. So we walked all the way up the hill to the luggage with our luggage, all the way to the dealership. I go inside. I'm yelling at the guy. I'm telling him all this crazy stuff. I'm never going to you guys again. You guys suck. You had us sitting over there at the airport. Blah, blah, blah. We don't care. Just give me the car. So we get the car. We head to Niagara. We get to Niagara. We get to the Sheraton. That was pretty much the first night. It was fine. We get up. It's windy. I'm telling you, it's like a -10 wind chill. It's freezing and it's raining. And the sun's in, the sun's out. She's bitching, okay, telling me all this crazy crap and telling me never coming here again, never coming here in the winter again. I hate Canada. I hate it when it's like this. We walk around. It's like the Atlantic City. It's a small Atlantic City, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you've ever been to Niagara Falls. It's like Atlantic City. We walked up. We didn't even take our car out. We just walk up the road, whatever. We had breakfast. Enjoyed it. Fine. We go to the wheel over the Niagara Falls, sat on the wheel. She loved it. We get back to the Sheraton, and we find out there's a hockey tournament going on. 40 different teams are staying at the Sheraton with us. Kids all over the place. She hates kids. Okay. She hates them. She wants to cut their heads off, okay? She can't stand them. It took us 30 minutes to get to our hotel room so we can get dressed for dinner. It took us 40 minutes to get down from our hotel room. We were staying at the 19th floor. 19th floor. For that whole day, it was hell because we had no room. We had the kids playing hockey on, up in their floors. They were skating, playing with rollerblades. It was horrible. I mean, I loved it, but she hated
roller hockey.
Hotel roller hockey. I actually wanted to join them, but she was telling me you better not. But whatever. I probably would have broke my hip. But okay. So the next morning, we find out there's a big snowstorm coming. Football, Saturday night. So we went to the casino, when the first we went to this crappy restaurant in the casino, Fairview Casino. And it was horrible. The food was terrible. It took us forever to get food. But we didn't realize in the casino, they have this big place. I forget what it was called, but they have, there was like big TVs right next to each other all the way around. It was beautiful. So we watched the full game, the Texan game, at that terrible restaurant. Then we went up to the casino. We saw that, and she got all pissy because the food looked better in that place. They had like, I guess you could say theater chairs or whatever the hell it is. So we went in, we watched the Kansas City game. So we were deciding if we were going to go to Toronto or we were going to stay here in Niagara. But we weren't staying at the Sheraton because we were planning to go to Toronto. Snowstorm hit us. Bad snowstorm from Buffalo, that 17 inches, but we didn't get 17 inches. We got about 5. So we had to find a place where we could just go, spend the night for 5-6 hours, get back in the car and go to Toronto the next day. We found this place called the Comfort Inn. Okay. It looked like it was rated pretty high. We went there. We went in. She looked at it. She says, "This isn't a 4-star hotel." We could tell it's not a 4-star. It was like a 2.5, 3-star hotel. We park our car. They tell us, blah, 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 blah. Find a parking spot out there. It's every man for himself or whatever the hell they told us. So we go upstairs. She sleeps. I'm up. It snow's coming down. And I'm like, how are we going to get? And I didn't tell you guys about, obviously the second day because we went to the wineries and stuff like that. We enjoyed that. But we went to Wayne Gretzky's winery and all that. That was all the good stuff. I'm not going to tell you the good stuff because it was all bad after this. We wake up the next morning. Snow plows were out, finally, all that other stuff. I tell her to get us out, clock us out over there. I'm going to go out and clean off the car. So I go out, I see the car, I'm cleaning up the front, I'm cleaning off my side, the driver's side, and I go to the passenger side. Passenger side window is completely broken. Glass all over the inside. Brittany left the wine bottles, or the 3-4 different wine bottles that she bought, worth about $400 on the, in the passenger seat. Somebody broke the window, crawled into the car, grabbed it from the inside of the back seat, and then crawled outside out of the car that night. We call the cops. The cops come. It takes them 15 minutes to get there. The lady goes and looks at it, and she tells me, I said, "Where's the report?" She says, "We're going to print it out. It takes 2 weeks to print it out here." Blah 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 blah. And I say, I'm asking her. She says, "I've been working here for 5 years. I've never seen somebody's window get broken into. They usually just, they pull it or they clip it. But of course, my car was the one that got, the window being broken. They helped us vacuum the car out, and we put a bag over the passenger window. We drive on the highway to Niagara, from Niagara to Toronto, which is 1 hour and 40 minutes. It was making such a loud sound. I was screaming at her, "Hold the bag down! Hold the goddamn bag down!" And she said, "I don't want to do this anymore. This is my vacation." I get out of it. I pull to the side. I'm screaming. I rip the bag off, throw it in the passenger. I said, "Now you're going to suffer." We're driving all the way to Toronto with the window wide open with a -20 wind chill. Okay. -20. It's freezing. Okay. We're blasting the heat, by the way, and we're on the highway all the way through. She's freezing. She's wrapped in 2 coats, my coat being one of them. I'm in short sleeves and just gloves. And I drove in that cold all the way from Niagara Falls to Toronto to go to the car dealership. I go to the car dealership, and I want to make this quick because I want to get to the show. I go to the car dealership. They say there's a $3,000 deductible. $3,000 of Canadian money, which is $2,400, almost $2,400 in American money. And the only way you're going to get another car is if you pay it. So I gave him my card. He charged my credit card, and I got a rent-a-car. That whole day, ladies and gentlemen, it ruined my time in Toronto. I didn't even want to be there. We went to the mall. We watched the rest of the football games. I was pissed. The next day, early in the morning, we're going to the airport. We get into the airport. We go over there. We mark our passports, and it says, go see an attendant. We go to an attendant. She says, you're not 90 minutes early. Air Canada has a rule now since COVID that your luggage has to be 90 minutes on the plane, or you're going to lose your plane tickets. So we had to order new plane tickets. So we were calling up Priceline, all these different things, Air Canada, United, I don't know whatever it was. We were calling all these things. It took us 5 hours. And we actually booked a plane ticket that they never even told us we booked. And they charged Brittany 3 times on her card. And then we had to have a case number so she could get her money back in 7 days. Then, to top it all off, we had to wait on an hour and 40-minute line all the way up to get to Air Canada when they tell us that our tickets weren't issued, and we had to go on the other side and wait on another line for at least 20 minutes before somebody helped us get us the pass and push the pass through so we can go back on the other line and get right into it, get right back to our, to customs and everything like that. We get into customs, we get to everywhere we go, we get some food, and right there at the thing, they tell us our plane is an hour late or there's something wrong with the plane. So we had to wait an hour. Then it took a half an hour to do whatever they had to do. By the time we got onto the plane, it was 6:30 when we should have been on a plane home, and we should have been home at 1 o'clock. We get on a plane. We're trying to find a way because I was not putting my luggage under that plane again. I said, I paid for this special bag. I am not putting that under again. So they found a place. And while I was finding the place, I told Brittany before I got on the plane, I said, watch, I'm going to be seated next to some friggin' 300-pound woman, and I'm going to be squished like a pancake. Okay? That's what I said to her. I said, you watch. My luck, that's going to happen. I remember the seat, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, F-25. Okay? Right next to the damn friggin' window. I get in. It looks like I'm sitting next to a petite, beautiful woman. Okay, I thought that was going to be a nice day. Her boyfriend's sitting right there. She's sitting right across to her boyfriend. But no, I try to find a place. I go back, and the lady that was supposed to sit next to her boyfriend said, "Oh, you guys are together? Oh, you sit with your boyfriend. I'll sit next to him." This woman was 350 pounds. She smelled like booze. She smelled like body odor. I sat inside because I was next to the window. I sat next to a woman that looked like Yokozuna, okay? I sat next to a woman that was farting up a storm. I couldn't breathe. She was snoring in my ear. I had to put my earphones loud. I couldn't even listen to the documentary I was trying to pay attention to because she was snoring in my ear. I felt like a hot dog in a bun. Okay, that's what I felt like. And she was dude, the smell that was coming out of her. Okay. And then to top it all off, she fell asleep. So nobody can wake up the ape. Okay. Nobody can wake that woman up because she got ginger ale. She had a cup like clogged in her little paws over here. And the lady that was working, because she knew it was done, she was trying to pull the cup out of her hands while she was sleeping. She didn't move it an inch. She got the cup out of her hands while she was sleeping. We get back. And we're the last 2 people off the plane. Why do you guys think that happened? Because the woman could get out of her chair. That's why. I was sitting next to her. I was holding my nose. My nose was on my shirt half the time. My legs were against the plane because I couldn't even put my legs straight because her legs were about the size of King Kong's legs. Okay. And I couldn't even get out. And Brittany's laughing. She's sitting there. She's like, oh. She's like, it couldn't have been that bad. It's like, you want to smell what I was smelling? That was my trip, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't get home till 8:30 at night. So a trip that probably would have cost me $2,500, $2,600 costed us almost $6,000. So I did not have a fun time on my Canadian trip. I'd like to thank Toronto for being such a, I'm not going to say it, but you know how I feel. And Niagara, I will never go and visit again. So there you go.
The city of John Tavares. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, the city of my foot in their asses. Anyways, at 8:30, we'll be talking to Fox 26 Houston sports reporter and anchor Will Kunkel. He's been on a show before. We can't wait to have Will on. He got a new job over there in Houston, so we're happy to have him on as he's in a bigger market. At 9 o'clock, we'll be talking to the Yankees And Westwood One sports media personality Drew Casey will be joining us again on our show. We love Drew and happy to have him on again. Reports say that Brian Daboll's antics are destructive towards assistant coaches and coordinators. Finally, somebody opens their mouth and actually feels and says what he feels. I love it. I don't know why any Giant fan wouldn't like it. Listen, it didn't work out with Wink Martindale. Do you believe that Joe Shane is going to fire his own guy? It's not going to happen. So I know these stories are coming out, and I know a lot of Giant fans are not happy that Wink decided to wink his ass out of there. But let's be honest. I think that we all know that this team is going to go as far as Mr. Daboll is going to take them. So I'm not. If you're a fan of Brian Daboll, you shouldn't be upset about that. That's for sure. Jason Kelce announces his retirement after 13 years. Interesting story. I've been saying a lot of good things about Jason Kelce. I think Jason Kelce is a very unique individual, personality-wise, fantastic. It's a shame that he's retiring at the age that he's retiring, but it's sports, man. You can't play forever, and Kelce is a fantastic personality who's going to move forward in his career with his podcasting and everything of that magnitude. So congratulations to Jason Kelce. So we'll get into that. The latest in NFL coaching rumors, a lot of conversations on where Bill Belichick is going, where Jim Harbaugh is going, if he's going anywhere. Is he going to re-sign with Michigan and make, I don't know, 12 million, 13 million a year, or 15 million or 16 million? Maybe Dan Jansen or it's Johnson, right? Ben Johnson. I'm sorry. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions. Maybe he'll be arguing for 15 million, but there's a couple of good coaches that are available. Maybe Mike Vrabel will be hired somewhere. We all know where the Patriots went when it came to their coaching vacancy now that Bill Belichick is available. So thank God. I don't know if that's going to work. I mean, I like him. I like Mayo, but we'll see what happens. The latest in NFL, I'm sorry, we said that. James Dolan being investigated for sexual assault. Why am I not surprised? I mean, I know I almost said Jet fans. A lot of Knick fans are probably happy that this story came out. And I'm not for the fact that sexual assault, because now he might sell the team. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but hey, ears looking at you, kid. I'd say. Yeah. Anyways, Raptors and Pacers finalize a trade that would send Pascal Siakam to the Indiana Pacers for Bruce Brown and 3 first-round picks. I think that's a great move for the Indiana Pacers. That sets them up to be one of the beasts from the East. So I like what the Pacers are doing right now. They have one of the best point guards in the NBA, and Halliburton. And now you add somebody like Siakam, a center / power forward that can dominate the paint the way he can. I think this team could be as good as their record has shown over the last couple of weeks. So I think they're going to be even better. The Yankees signed Marcus Stroman to a 2-year, $37 million contract with an option for a 3rd year if he pitches 140 innings in 2025. Which I think was a pretty good deal for the Yankees. Say whatever you say. Say what you want to say about Marcus Stroman, and he could be a cancer in the locker room, but he's not the captain of the team, and there's no way Aaron Judge is going to let that meaningful idiot, is he meaningless, okay? Meaningless idiot to go out there and cause destruction of the New York Yankees. So I don't think Yankee fans should be mad about that. So why don't we get into the coaching vacancies, because that's the story right now. Adam Schefter reports that the Patriots hired Jared Mayo to be their next head coach. There was reportedly a clause in Mayo's contract that he would be the immediate successor to Bill Belichick. We didn't know that, by the way. The Falcons are so far the only team to give a formal interview to Bill Belichick yet. The Falcons and the Chargers have completed interviews with Jim Harbaugh as well. The Steelers announced that they are officially bringing back Mike Tomlin for the last year of his contract. The Raiders have only interviewed defensive assistant Chris Richards so far. The Seahawks interviewed Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris and the Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka. Wink Martindale has been granted the right to sign anywhere as another team's defensive coordinator by the Giants. Jared Mayo. I don't know what he is as a head coach. We know what he is as a defensive coordinator. we saw this year that the Patriots defense was up and down. I'm not going to blame Jared Mayo for that. Jared Mayo was a very good player with the Patriots. He was a linebacker, played very well, couldn't stay healthy. That was Jared Mayo's problem. If Jared Mayo was healthy, could have gone down as a borderline Hall of Famer. He was that good. He played very well. He understood the game. He understood the position. So I love what Jared Mayo brings to the table as far as a defensive-minded coach. What do I believe he could become as a head coach? I don't know. Now, we see what's going on with the Texans right now. And we understand that the coaching over there has been sensational. He's going to be up for Coach of the Year in his first rookie season as a head coach. His team is going to the divisional round, has a chance to go to the AFC title game if they knock off the Baltimore Ravens, the best team in the AFC. I don't know, again, what Jared Mayo brings to the table, because we have to hear and see what they're going to do in the offseason, what they're going to do at the quarterback position, drafting at 3. The Patriots need to figure out who they are, what their identity is when Jared Mayo comes into office. We all knew what they were with Bill Belichick. They were a defensive-minded team that obviously had an all-world quarterback for over 18, 19 years. And then he goes to Tampa and wins another Super Bowl. And then they drafted Mac Jones. It hasn't worked out over there. Josh McDaniels was the offensive coordinator. Then he went to the Raiders, and he failed in 2 years once again. And now he's available. Now, I'm not surprised that they brought in a defensive-minded coach, because Bill Belichick, it's been their trade over the last, I believe, 15 years, is defense first. Think of defense first and then offense. And Tom Brady changed that because he changed the offensive side of the ball for the Patriots because he was that good. Tom Brady made everybody around him better. It didn't matter who their wide receiver was. It didn't matter every year what their offensive line was or what their running game was. They've always found a way, because they had a quarterback that had one of the fastest releases in the NFL and a really a great leader in Bill Belichick that really drove the car, drove the bus, drove the team to success. Jared Mayo, I don't know what type of person he is in the locker room as a head coach. Only time will tell. Quarterback will tell. What quarterback are they going to bring in? It's not going to be Drake May. Drake May is going to go either 1 or 2. And they're drafting at 3. Unless they're trading up at 2, it's not going to happen. And Washington's not trading out of that pick. Drake May looks like he will be a Washington Commander. What I do know is there's still good quarterbacks. The Heisman Trophy winner, they have a chance to bring in a quarterback. Now, we don't know what these guys are going to turn out to be. As we saw this year, everybody loved Bryce Young, but it looks like it's C.J. Stroud. Nevertheless, we look at right now and where the Patriots are heading. They're in a division that is still run by the Buffalo Bills, a Miami Dolphin team that fought injury at the end of the season, which probably cost them a chance to beat Kansas City. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. If Miami had if they had Phillips and they had Chubb and they had all the different weapons that they had early in the season, I think they beat Kansas City. I think they'll be able to put up enough points against that Kansas City Chiefs team, they could have beaten them. But it's a tough division, and you have Aaron Rodgers coming back. Maybe the Jets will give him some offensive line help, another weapon. Maybe they get Devontae Adams. Who knows what's going to happen? As the Jets like to open their mouths, a.k.a. I'm a Jet fan. And a Jet fan saying, we're going to bring this guy in. We're going to bring that guy in. Oh, that guy's going to fall to us in the draft. Yeah, okay. I believe in the Easter Bunny. This is the problem as a Jet fan. I'm just speaking the truth. As Jeff is our newly Jet fan right here. Yes, he's a new Jet fan, as he's no longer a New England Patriot fan.
But he still believes that they can get Drake May.
Well, that's a whole nother story. What I could say right now, and where the Jets are in that division and where Miami is in that division and where the Buffalo Bills are in that division, Jared Mayo is right now going in a division and on a team that he's fourth best in that division as of right now. They're not as good as any one of those three other teams. So again, and I know Jeff doesn't want to hear that, but it's true. They're not. Talent-wise, they're not.
Nope.
So it's going to take a long haul for Jarrett Mayo to sit there and build this team. I think he can. I like Jarrett Mayo. I don't know him personally. I don't know him as a coach, but I like him. He was a good player. It could happen.
Yeah, Bill Belichick's coaching tree we know is very bad with other teams, but we've also seen it do very well with younger players, more modern type of players like Mike Vrabel, who could put his own stamp on a team and make it work. And that's what Jerome Mayo is going to have to do when it comes to the New England Patriots. You can't try to coach exactly the same way Bill Belichick is because players are different now. Younger players behave in different ways too, and modern schemes are different too. So I'm curious to see what type of approach the Patriots will end up taking with their offense, because Mayo's going to make it work with the defense. We've seen, like you were talking about with DeMeco Ryans, we've seen these linebackers like Mike Vrabel, because they were captains of the defense, work well with those types of players. The Texans defense on paper is not amazing. They have some good young players like Stingley, like Will Anderson, but on paper, they've really put together an interior defensive line of linebackers that were scraps from other teams and just made it work. The Patriots are going to have to do that same kind of thing because they're going to have to focus a lot on their offense. Now, the Patriots have drafted well on defense for the last couple of years. Aggressive Gonzalez got hurt. Kyle Duggar's been in and out with injuries too, but the Patriots have to focus everything on offense. And Jerome Mayo, I think, is going to have to take a book from what DeMeco Ryans did with Houston, because they're going to get a quarterback, whether it is Drake May, whether it is somebody else. They're going to have to trust that quarterback is going to work. And they're going to have to try to trust a whole new offensive system that's different from what the Patriots have been doing, whether it is Jaden Daniels, whether it is Penix that they draft. Maybe they trade back and just go for a quarterback if they don't think they're going to get Drake May or Caleb Williams. Regardless, they need an offense that's going to be more for the modern NFL. Look at DeMeco Ryans with the Texans. He didn't make that kind of offensive system with Bobby Slowick as offensive coordinator, the same as what the 49ers had. They had to make Slowick and Stroud work together, and obviously they made the playoffs, and Stroud might win Rookie of the Year, probably will. They need that kind of approach to be different there too, because otherwise it's not going to work, and you're going to look at all these other Bill Belichick disciples failing like they were in other locations.
Speaking of Bill Belichick, he looks like he could be heading to the Falcons as the Chargers. I say Chargers because they could be called the Chargers very soon as well, or the Chuggers, because they never get through the playoffs, so they might as well get ready to drink some beer. But by the way, I went to a place called Chuggers, so that's why I popped in.
There you go.
So, anyways, Bill Belichick interviewed for the Atlanta Falcons job, and I think that would be a great spot. A great spot for a Bill Belichick. He has a great running back in Bijan Robinson, who showed this year that he's one of the more prominent young running backs in the league. He has weapons in Kyle Pitts, who I have no idea why they didn't use him over the last couple of years. This guy is a tremendous player. Cordell Patterson is there, who's been used as a running back, wide receiver, another weapon that they have. A tremendous amount of weapons. And their defense this year played very well. Drake London, he's been looking to draft a good wide receiver. Well, now he's walking into a team that has a good wide receiver if he can stay healthy. Jesse Bates there, always a Bill Belichick team always has a good safety on the team. You have one of the more predominant good safeties, veteran safeties on your team that really changed the secondary. One of the worst secondaries in the league the year before to one of the better secondaries in the NFL. So I think that this fits for Bill Belichick. I also believe the ownership over there would absolutely let Bill Belichick be the GM over there, run this team, run this organization as well as he ran over there with the New England Patriots over the last couple of years, really the last 20 years. So I think that when you look at the position that the Falcons would put Bill Belichick in moving forward is a great position. It won't take Bill Belichick long to build this team because he's got the weapons. This is still a fairly young team. He needs to find a quarterback. And honestly, Russell Wilson will be available. I think you could bring a Russell Wilson in. You could bring in a Jimmy Garoppolo. You could bring in somebody that can run your offense. That I think Jimmy Garoppolo would be a perfect fit over there with Atlanta because he knows Bill Belichick. He knows the offense. You're going to probably bring in a Josh McDaniels over there as your offensive coordinator. That could happen because I think Mayo's going to keep O'Brien. So I think that this might work. I think Atlanta would be a good fit right now for a Bill Belichick.
Yeah, Atlanta, we've seen so far, has been the most assertive in these new coaching wave hires when it comes to, they already interviewed Jim Harbaugh. They already are interested in Eric Bieniemy. I don't think they formally met with him yet, but they are going to push hard for him. And now Bill Belichick, they're the only team that so far has formally interviewed him. And they weren't the team that was thought of as the initial, everyone was like the Chargers. I was thinking Washington. Everyone was thinking the Raiders. The Falcons were not thought of in that way, but it shows that they're trying to make aggressive so they do not waste this talent, especially on defense. When you spend as much money as the Falcons did this offseason on the defensive side of the ball with Bates, with Bud Dupree, with Onyemata, this defense got a lot better from where it was in 2022. And now with Bill Belichick being there, you could definitely tell that he's going to make the staple of the rest of that defense to make it work. But they do have to find some offense. They have great, young, talented offensive skill players. They need depth, though, and they need a quarterback badly. So they have to be able to adjust.
The
to those
quarterback
aspects.
is the most important position that they need to fill in. And I think Jimmy will be available. You bring in a Jimmy Garoppolo, you bring in somebody else that knows the offense. Maybe you draft somebody. I don't know who's going to be there at the quarterback position. Where is Atlanta drafting right now? 8. So maybe there's a quarterback that they like, a Penix. I don't know if that's a Bill Belichick type of quarterback. So I'm interested to see if he takes the Atlanta job, or maybe he goes and he interviews for the Charger job, where I believe he fits the best because he has Justin Herbert there and he has a quarterback that he can build his team around. So the team right now, the Atlanta Falcons are a very interesting team. And also, this is a team that is, I believe, ready to win now. I really do. So you put the right pieces around, the Belichick pieces around with a little mix of this and a little mix of that. I mean, the team could be in a very good position. As far as the Tomlin thing, I knew Tomlin was going to come back in his last year. I did. Mike Tomlin, I understand what he did at the end of the game against Buffalo. I understand that he went up there, he didn't want to speak to the press, and he kind of walked off the stage and wasn't very happy with the organization and really with the way the Steelers showed up in that game. They didn't show up in the game. And again, you didn't have your quarterback in the game. You had a backup quarterback. Okay. So I'm not going to go crazy on it. And their defense in, the first 2 quarters played very well against the Buffalo Bills. And then in the late of the third quarter, in the early fourth quarter, they started to get tired. They couldn't run the ball. And Najee Harris, it looks like Najee Harris is not a big fan of Mike Tomlin. I mean, it doesn't look like that he is. But again, there's a lot of questions to this team if Tomlin left. Who's taking over for this job? Now, Tomlin's been there for how many years? I mean, he's
07.
He's been there as long as Bill Belichick was there with the Patriots. So, I mean, I think Bill Belichick was there a little bit longer.
Yeah, 7 years more, but he was the second most tenured.
Yeah, and Tomlin has been a winning coach. He's never had a losing season over there with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a team that had no business going into the playoffs this year with no quarterback. It's amazing. And losing TJ Watt absolutely affected him. Now, if TJ Watt played in the game, maybe the game was closer. Who knows? But obviously, the position that Mike Tomlin is going into a new season is he's going on his final year of his contract. I don't know if Mike Tomlin wanted to come back. I think the Rooneys obviously had a conversation with him, said, let's finish up. Let's see if we could put something together in the offseason, give you some players and give you a better chance to win. But I think there's a lot of questions to this team. This has become more of a veteran team. They have a lot of veteran players. They have some young players on the team, but this is more of a veteran team. And they're going into a season where they're unsure about the quarterback position. They're unsure about where this team is heading offensively, because let's be honest, who is their number 1 wide receiver and who's their number 2 wide receiver? And Johnson is free agent this year. Are you bringing back Johnson? Are you bringing him back? Because Deontay Johnson can't stay healthy. I know that because he's on my fantasy team every single year, and the guy never stays healthy. I like what they're doing when it comes to their running game. They have a 1-2 punch. If they decide to trade one of them, maybe Najee Harris, you trade him in the offseason because he doesn't want to be there. But this team, there's a lot of questions. And even defensively, without TJ Watt, this defense is not what it is or what it should be. So, again, there's a lot of questions to this. And I think Mike Tomlin realizes his time over there at Pittsburgh is about to end.
Yeah, the Steelers also are in one of those things that while they do have a good, talented roster, like they don't have a lot of the upside things that are going to make it desirable to get a new head coach in there, like a Bill Belichick, like a Jim Harbaugh, because they don't have the quarterback. They're not going to have a high draft pick to get a quarterback. So it's going to be hard for them to be able to build that way. And they still have issues with their offensive line. They have a lot of guys like Deontay Johnson, like Najee Harris, that have been they've had their antics throughout the season too. Like George Pickens not blocking, like those kinds of things. Like the coaches are going to shy, especially somebody Bill Belichick is going to shy away from. So I think the Rooneys knew that kind of thing, and that's why they're going to bring Mike Tomlin back for this one more year. They're going to let him go out on his own terms, I think, at the end of this contract, at the end of next year, and then they're going to go after the coaching market in the following offseason too, when they're going to have a little more desirable things. Now they could still trade for another quarterback. They could still draft another quarterback. It just the likelihood of it hitting to the level that it should be for these offensive skill players to stay there is going to be very small. And I think the Steelers do know that. So between Tomlin, I think, wanting to still coach one more year, and the Rooneys not wanting it to be like a random firing or like a really sour ending like the Giants had with Tom Coughlin, I don't think the Rooneys are going to do that kind of thing.
As far as the Raiders are concerned, we all know where the Raiders are going. It's either Jim Harbaugh or they're bringing back who, Speedy?
Antonio Pierce.
That's it. That's it. There is nobody else. Nobody in line. I understand that they interviewed Chris Richard. They're not bringing him in. Now, they could bring in or Ben Johnson. They could bring him in. Maybe they bring him in when he becomes available, because I know there's a lot of teams interested in interviewing him. He wants $15 million. I don't know if any team is going to offer him the biggest coaching money deal or contract in NFL history.
But again, there are all the Raiders and the Commanders still available that still might do that.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. But I will say this: it seems like it's Antonio Pierce's job to lose. I think he's done a good job. I have to give him a lot of credit. I didn't think he was going to help this team or take this team to that next level. Everything that the Raiders, and if they changed Josh McDaniels a little bit earlier, maybe they make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're a playoff team. Maybe the Raiders are making noise right now in the playoffs, being that it's in Las Vegas this year. So I don't know, but it seems like it's Antonio Pierce's job, because I know Jim Harbaugh is not going there. As far as the Seahawks are concerned, I know they interviewed defensive coordinator Raheem Morris and Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka. They're not hiring any of those guys. We all know why they interviewed Raheem Morris. Okay. And Mike Kafka is a guy that might be up and coming, but what did the Giants offense do this year? I mean, nothing. What did they have? What would anybody think Mike Kafka would be the lead guy to get a job after a year where the Giants offense was one of the worst offenses in the league? That's not going to happen.
I don't know. Maybe they love Tommy DeVito's little stretch run of doing something. So, Mike Kafka going to be back in the way for head coaching jobs, which he got some interviews last year. So I guess they're going to continue the process with that kind of thing. And again, the Giants offense has nothing on it. So.
I'll tell you where he's going. I'm going to tell you where he's going, ladies and gentlemen. The Seahawks will interview Dan Quinn. It's going to happen. That's who's going to get this job. It was the whole plan. There was no way they were going anywhere else. Dan Quinn will get introduced as the new head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. We've heard through the grapevine that somebody didn't want to be fired or let go. And I understand that they brought him up over there as an executive or whatever he's doing over there.
I don't know if he officially even took that position yet. So
I don't
he still might want to coach somewhere else.
I think he does.
Yeah.
I think he's a lifer, and I think he has plans to coach again. And I think somebody will give him an interview. At least one team will give him an interview, if not this year, next year, when a job becomes open, because he's a good coach.
The Chargers should consider it too. They need help on defense every which way. So if they don't get Belichick or Harbaugh, they should definitely do everything they can to get him.
But I will say this: it's Dan Quinn's job to lose, and I think that was the whole plan. As far as Wink Martindale, we're going to get into the whole situation right now with the organization and where the Giants were at that point. And we all know that Brian Daboll has his own personality, and again, we'll get into that next. Wink Martindale is going to be hired by somebody. Somebody's going to hire Wink because he's a great defensive mind. He's one of the best blitz guys in the NFL. And there are quite a few teams that could use a defensive-minded coach like this, a.k.a. the Chargers. Mm-hmm. We were just mentioning the Chargers, and we don't know who the head coach is, but if if there's a veteran head coach to come into office over there, why wouldn't he bring in Wink Martindale? It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's also, remember, both Ravens coordinators, both Mike McDonald, their defensive coordinator now, and Tom Monken, who's their offensive coordinator, are going to be hot commodities for head coaching jobs too. So who says that one of those guys don't bring in Wink Martindale to complement it? A guy that's in Baltimore wants to bring those values to a team like the Chargers, a team like the Commanders that definitely need defensive help too. There's a lot of those teams that need defensive help badly.
All right. Why don't we go to a quick break? Oh, actually, it's not a break. We're going to go to a sports minute, our first sports minute on the sports loudmouth. When we come back, we will get into the whole Brian Daboll situation. Reports say that Brian Daboll's antics are destructive towards assistant coaches and coordinators. We'll be back as Scoops will be giving us our first sports minute.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth Sports Minute.
Are you ready to get loud?
With Tommy Scoops.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a start to a wonderful segment. Wonderful, wonderful everything. This is the Loudmouth Sports Minute Report. I am Tommy Scoops here. And for today's report, being the first report, we were treated to 6 wildcard weekend games to wrap things up and send us into 4 divisional game matchups going into Saturday and Sunday. I should actually call it wildcard blowout weekend since there was only one game that actually held a one possession lead. Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh have been added to the coaching carousel, with both of them being interviewed for the Atlanta Falcons and Jim Harbaugh as well interviewing for the Los Angeles Chargers, which many do believe that that's where he can end up. We shall see within the coming weeks. In NBA news, an unfortunate event over here in Golden State, as Warriors assistant head coach Dejan Melkovic, excuse me for the pronunciation, has unfortunately passed away at age 46. Earlier in the day, Golden State actually announced that they will be postponing their game for today as he had a heart attack yesterday and was hospitalized for it. The coach has been added to the team since 2021 and was even there part of the NBA Finals run with the Golden State Warriors against the Boston Celtics. May he rest in peace, and prayers go out to his family as well. Pascal Siakam was just traded to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for 3 first-round picks. And with many speculating Tyrese Halliburton to be the best point guard in the league today, and as well as a great defensive player and great center and Pascal Siakam, expect them to be making some noise later on in the postseason. Draymond Green actually just returned, and he gave Adam Silver a suplex in his return. No, I'm just kidding, of course. But he was suspended on December 13th after giving a knockout punch over to Yusuf Nurkic, missing 16 games in total. Green had 7 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists in his return to the loss against the Grizzlies. And now it's for Scoops and Scores, where I'll tell you how we have 9 games that have just tipped off in the NBA, with matchups such as my New York Knicks taking on the Houston Rockets, the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Cavs, and as well as former teammates in Kyrie and LeBron James versing each other within the Mavs and the Lakers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all the time that I have for you right now. I will see you all a little bit later in the show for an update. And let me send it back over to you for Errol and Speedy.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, this is the Sports Loudmouths. Remember, you can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows, including the Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Scoops is our first sports minute. It's the first time he's done it on our show during a live show. So it was good. We need to work on it a little bit, but it's fine. It's fine. It was good. Speedy, you need to work on some stuff, and we'll obviously, as we move forward, we'll have him on picture, and we'll have him on so everybody can check him out. Whatever, all the women could check him out, or whatever the hell they want to do. But anyways, hey, listen, there's women. Maybe Carl will be interested in you. I don't know. Anyways, why don't we get back into it, because reports say that Brian Daboll's antics are destructive towards the assistant coaches and coordinators of the New York Giants. Pat Leonard of the New York Daily News reports that many assistant coaches have said Brian Daboll has destructive sideline antics. He also added that Daboll almost never took blame for the Giants' offensive woes this season, blaming it mostly on their coordinators. Offensive coordinator Mike Kafka was frustrated on Daboll for constantly taking away offensive play calling duties and even giving it to their quarterback coach, Shea Tierney, over him. Daboll told Wink Martindale on a couple of occasions, "You're going to lose us this game just like you lost the game against the Jets." Wink also mentioned that Daboll cursed him out on many occasions, a big reason why he re-signed. The Giants have lost Wink as well as 4 other assistant coaches so far this offseason. And offensive coordinator Mike Kafka is expected to get Hess's head coaching. What is it, Hess? Why does it say Hess? A load of coaching opportunities. Speedy puts my monologue together, and he puts words I'd never even heard of. But anyways, I don't know what's going on with the New York Giants in this organization. I don't. I'm not in the locker room. I am not interviewing Giant players after the game. I do know or have known that Brian Daboll has a very strong personality on the sidelines. I watched him as the offensive coordinator for Buffalo. I've watched him as he was the offensive coordinator for Alabama. He's a very well-respected offensive mind. I believe one of the only coaches in the NFL, you can call him a quarterback guru. I don't know what happened with him and Wink Martindale. I don't. It looks like 2 personalities clashed in the locker room multiple times. As we all know that last year he took all the credit. Brian Daboll took all the credit to the offense. And as far as the Giants team went, as they lost against the Eagles in the divisional game and got smoked, they beat Minnesota, and that was because of Wink Martindale and his defensive scheme against Jefferson and that offense. What I do see, what this team is going to go into in the offseason is, it's Daniel Jones or bust. Daniel Jones has 1 more year left on the contract, the 4-year contract, where they can opt out after his 2nd year. And Daniel Jones has no weapons. None. And Joe Schoen has a lot to be blamed for when it comes to that. Joe Schoen has had 2 drafts, the New York Giants. And I know everybody is looking at the team and they've added some young wide receivers. It hasn't worked. Why haven't you brought in a veteran? Why haven't you drafted a good fit to your offense going into last offseason? Now, maybe because the draft wasn't cluttered with good offensive good offensive wide receivers. This year there are good wide receivers and Neighbors, Odunze from Washington, Coleman. All these guys could be available at number 6 for the New York Giants. But there's a lot that the Giants need to do this offseason that's going to help this team move forward in an NFC East that there's a lot of questions. The Eagles don't know if they're going to bring back their coach. By the way, breaking news that Mike McCarthy will be back next year for the Dallas Cowboys. So the Dallas Cowboys will have another 11-win season, 12-win season, and probably lose in the playoffs early like they usually do. Washington will be better this year, depending on who they hire as a coach and who they draft as their quarterback. They have a lot of money that they can spend in the offseason as well. Washington can bring in a ton of free agents. So there's a lot of questions to where the Giants are and where they're going to be compared to in the conference in the NFC. What I do know now going into the offseason is Brian Daboll has to look himself in the mirror and realize that he has a lot to blame for this team's mismanagement when it comes to offense and the mismanagement of what's going on inside the locker room with your players, with your coaches, and with the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, we saw last year with Brian Daboll. He was good at making adjustments in games, and that was a big reason the Giants were so good in the second half of games. And even though they started slow a lot of the time, they were able to make adjustments. They were able to win close games. They started off 5-1 out of nowhere, and they ended up holding on to make the playoffs despite having a slump in the middle of the season. But this year, when they started slow, they never really seemed to make those adjustments. And whether who was supposed to be the play caller or not, they had to do something on offense that made sense. Saquon Barkley was misused at certain points this year. Darren Waller was fine, but he wasn't like anything explosive like you saw with the Raiders. And some of that had to do with his injury. Some of that had to do with bad quarterback play. But even so, that has to do a lot with offensive coaching too. And Brian Daboll has to realize that if Mike Kafka is the better play caller, let him call the plays. And Brian Daboll, I think at certain points was the better play caller, but they made it so dramatic internally that it really never got the Giants offense into a good flow. Their best games this season were against a really bad Washington defense, and at the end of the season against the Eagles, who seemed like giving up, and the Arizona Cardinals. Like, those are not supposed to be great defenses that you're doing well against, and those are the only games you could really hang your head on for the Giants this year. And if that's the case, you're not going to be able to bring in other top-notch assistant coaches to help it out, and you're going to have to really trust a lot of these other guys to really rise up in their own ranks and help out this defense, because Wick Martindale did a nice job in certain aspects of this defense. I'm not saying he was amazing, but he definitely did well with his blitz packages for a team that doesn't have a lot of edge rushing depth and a lot of corner depth on this team.
He hit a lot of deficiencies of this defense. And their secondary, remember, they drafted a good defensive player in last year's draft in what was it,
25.
Yep. So in the late 20s. So and they still need to fix that other side of the field. So defensively, the Giants should be looking for a corner sometime in this draft, or they bring in a corner in free agency. There's a couple of them that are going to be available this year. So and also with the Giants, it's not enough to just bring in Neighbors or bring in a Dunze or a Coleman. They need to bring in another weapon, another free agent weapon. You might not get Higgins. You might not get Johnson. You might not get one of these guys that are going to become available. Maybe you do. Maybe you pay him more money to bring him over there. But will it work? And here's another thing with the Giants. The Giants' offensive line has really two pieces to the future of what this offensive line should be or could be. And that's another question. You bring in Schmidt. You drafted him last year in the second round. He looks like he's a player if he could stay healthy. Thomas is one of the best left tackles in the league. And then where are you at your guard positions? You got nothing at the guard positions. And your right tackle is putrid. So you're looking at three spots that the Giants should be looking at, especially the guard positions, as you have 2 second-round draft picks. So that's where I think the Giants need to go in the second round. You have practically back-to-back draft picks in the second round. You need to go at those guard positions, clean up that offensive line, and add some weapons in the offseason. Then you might have something.
Yeah, any team that has a talent deficiency is always going to have to do it, overcompensate in coaching aspects. And that's what you saw the Giants do last year. And this year, we're still a lot of the same weaknesses. They improved the middle of their field on defense when it came to talent-wise and got a little better with their corner depth drafting Banks. But still, it wasn't something that you're going to say, oh, this Giants team is such a complete team. This is a natural progression in what they're doing. There's still a lot of really bad deficiencies. I agree with you. They need at least 2 wide receivers, whether they could get it 1 in free agency, 1 in the draft, or 2 in free agency. They needed some capacity. Wan'Dale Robinson is fine as a gadget player. Jalen Hyatt's fine as a deep threat, but none of those are even close to being even a number 2 outside wide receiver at this point. And that's going to be something that you're going to look at with questionable quarterback play too. How are you going to scheme those other guys to make it work? And if Brian Daboll is trying to have his ego get in the way too much, it's going to shy away these other good offensive minds to stay there. Now, Kafka, I wasn't as critical of as some Giants fans were this year with his play calling, but even so, like, he's going to be somebody that is a hot commodity because he worked with the Bills, he worked with the Chiefs. These are good offensive teams that they made work. So the Giants need that kind of modern identity to this team.
Who cares if he worked with the Bills? Who cares if he worked with the Chiefs? As we all know, look at what the Chiefs are offensively this year. That Nagy's running the team. And then, by the way, you say he worked with Buffalo. The only time Buffalo's offense was any good was when our friend right here, Brian Daboll, was there. So, I mean, this year, obviously, they played better in the second half as they changed their offensive coordinator. But nevertheless, I think that there's a lot of questions to the New York Giants and what the New York Giants are going to be defensively next year. Who do they bring as the defensive coordinator? Do they bring somebody from, I don't know, the Buffalo Bills and that organization? Maybe our friend Wesley comes back. That might make sense.
I'd be fine with that. I just hope they can get him at this point.
maybe he decides to come out of a retirement. He never said he retired, but maybe he comes out. He stayed away from football for a year, and he goes to the Giants and becomes the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Another very good defensive mind. He's not going to get another coaching job, but nevertheless, he understands Brian Daboll, and he knows Daboll will let him run the defense. So I think that when you look at the Giants in the position that they're in, the big position is find the wide receiver, find him a weapon, get Daniel Jones the right weapons, put him around him this year, and figure out what you're doing at the running back position. Because Saquon Barkley already said he's not taking a franchise tag. He already said that he's not doing that. So either the Giants decide to extend him to a 2 or 3 year deal, give him the money, give him some guaranteed money to make him happy, or trade him and get something back for him.
Carl says Giants trade up for the first pick, Saquon and 2 firsts to the Bears. That's probably not going to happen.
No, but I could see Saquon Barkley on the Chicago Bears.
I definitely could too. I think the trade partner makes sense for the Bears. They were one of the teams in the last offseason that was interested in him, along with Miami, along with the Bills that were interested in him. So you definitely could see that. I don't know if the Giants are going to be so aggressive to trade up to the number 1 pick. It doesn't seem like they're going to shy away from Daniel Jones that quickly, unless it gets so sour that he doesn't want to stay there.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If Brian Daboll does not have a good season, he's going to be fired. He is going to be fired. If the Giants don't make the playoffs back-to-back years, I don't care if he won Coach of the Year last year. There are stories coming out that he's not getting along with his coaching staff, the coaching staff that he brought in. He brought in that coaching staff. He brought in Wink Martindale. He brought in Mike Kafka. He brought in all these guys. So if it's not working out right now for the coaches that he's bringing in, and he's becoming a dictator in that locker room, it says one thing: he's not fit to be the coach of this team and this organization. And the Giants, the Mara family does not like that. Tom Coughlin was like that for the first couple of years, and then Michael Strahan had to step in and pretty much had to say something to him to let him know that it's not going to work here. You're going to have to be more of a team guy, except, being a dictator. And it worked. Tom Coughlin got enough out of the New York Giants in 2007, where they knocked off the undefeated New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, and then in 2011 doing it again against the New England Patriots. So you need to change your ways. And if Daboll doesn't change his ways, he might be looking on the outside.
And again, the difference was
not going to last.
Yeah, Coughlin was still winning amidst all that too. I think they had one bad season in 2005 where they were 6-10. But besides that, they were still consistently, not always a playoff team every year, but they were consistently at least 9-10 win teams. Brian Daboll this year was a 6-11 team. That's not going to help your cause right now. And we know somebody else that won Coach of the Year in Chicago and then got fired 3 years later, at Mr. Nagy.
The Beef wants the number, Speedy. Post it up.
Jeff's on the phone right now.
All right, put him through. Jeff, what's up, man?
Don't worry, Speedy, and all other Giants fans. You just got some good news. They're going to be better next year.
Oh, yeah? How's that?
Mike McCarthy is returning to the Cowboys.
Yeah, how's that going to help the Giants right now? That still doesn't mean that the Giants are going to improve head-to-head against the Cowboys.
We all know Mike. Yeah, but we all know Mike McCarthy stinks, and he's completely to blame for everything there. And so the Cowboys bringing him back just means that they will. The Giants will be better by proxy because the Cowboys can't improve. Mike McCarthy's back.
Okay, the Giants also struggle head-to-head against the Cowboys. That's not going to really help their cause right now.
They won't anymore. That's that pig. Just throw a hamburger at them.
What is this? What is this? We're trying to lure him with Andy Reid eating tactics?
Hey, I'm just saying that's good news for the Giants. The Cowboys can't get better. When your division opponents can't get better and you're going to get better, that's good news for you.
Well, I will say this. I don't know if it's good news for the Cowboys or bad news for the Cowboys. I do believe that the Cowboys will still be an 11 or 12 win team next year. I just don't know if they're going to have enough. And they don't have any money to bring in another wide receiver unless they draft one. And right now they're drafting, 25, 26? So maybe they get a good one. We were speaking. Who were we speaking to? Was it the Beef?
Yeah.
We were speaking to the Beef before the show, and we were going off some of the wide receivers. Now there is 2 wide receivers that could be available at that point. One of them, Troy Franklin from Oregon. He could be there. At 24, 25, maybe not. This is a good wide receiving class. And Jeff, you know this. Brian Thomas
It's not
Jr.
bad.
It's good.
It's not. Yeah, but Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors are going to be gone early. Like, don't even think that they're going to be there in the 20s.
No, I think Neighbors goes to the Giants at 6. That's where I think he's going to be. And
yeah, I mean, right. And Brian Thomas, I don't think will be far behind him.
No, I think Brian Thomas will be somewhere in the top 15. I could see 5 or 6 wide receivers drafted in the top 15. That's how good this class is. Rome Odunze, he's another guy that everybody's been talking about.
Yeah, I'm not high on Rome Odunze.
You're not. Wow.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. He couldn't get a lot of separation from college people. Right? Like, he's a big receiver and he's tough and he can make tough catches, which is all good news. But if you can't get much separation in college, how much separation are you going to get in the pros?
That's true too. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to go in the top 4. It looks like he's going to Arizona because I see quarterback in the first 3 picks. And then
I don't know. I don't know. I think that all depends on what the Bears' philosophy is on Justin Fields. If they retain Justin Fields and they're going to go forward with him, Marvin Harrison Jr. could be the first player taken.
It also could be a spot where the Bears could trade a haul back to trade back. Though,
and that could happen. I could see the Patriots move up at 1.
We don't know if that. I'm not going off of predicting trades because that's just the dumbest thing on earth, right? Because you don't know if they're going to trade or not. They have the pick now and make the projection based off that. And if they were to keep Fields, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a pretty great person to to put on the other side of DJ Moore.
Well, yeah. Also factor in though too how highly graded athletically of a prospect Caleb Williams is. We haven't seen that kind of thing in a while with the quarterback position, probably since maybe Trevor Lawrence.
So you're going to draft quarterback to not get better at any other position.
They're not the Bears. I'm not talking about the Bears. I'm talking about teams trading up to that number 1 pick. If the Bears are going to keep Fields, they'll keep Fields. But I'm saying if Caleb Williams doesn't have these alleged maturity issues and stuff like that in the pre-draft process, and he's still going to be that can't-miss prospect, teams are going to want to trade up with the Bears if they're going to keep Fields.
Right, but this is the perfect opportunity for the Bears to actually improve. Like most times when you see teams at the top of the draft and they're taking quarterback, they're not filling any other holes. Like, they can actually improve by filling holes now. Like every other year, they'd just be replacing a dude and not getting any better. They could just keep the quarterback and all of a sudden get a wide receiver and then get some fat pig at, I don't know, where are they, 8, 9?
Yeah,
they're
9 right now with their other pick.
Right. I didn't know what number. I know that they have another pick in the top 10. I wasn't sure what number it was. But yeah, just draft some fat pig to keep Justin Fields upright. You could be cooking with something.
Yeah, but I just don't know where Chicago is going to go. And I could see Chicago trading out of that pick, like Speedy was saying. So I know you can't predict it, and there's no prediction. You can't really know until the draft that if they decide to do that. But again,
but Washington could do the same thing.
Yes.
Do they like Sam Howell? Do they hate Sam Howell? We don't even know who the coach is.
Right. That's true
Right?
too. Yeah.
If Belichick ended up in Washington, Sam Howell might look like the best quarterback on the planet after looking at Mac Jones for 4 years. Terrible.
Well, that's true too. And Sam Howell had a good season. He really did. I mean, in some of the games, it was garbage time that he was putting up the numbers, but Sam Howell he in certain games looked pretty good, and he could actually stay in the pocket. He's a big, strong quarterback. So maybe if you bring a Bill Belichick there, you bring in a good running game, and maybe add the defense that Bill Belichick likes to draft in the way Bill Belichick likes to build his team. Maybe they have something. Maybe Sam Howell is the guy. Maybe he is the future quarterback of this team. So you're right. Washington could decide, hey, you know what? We could trade out of that pick. We don't really need a quarterback at that position. So there's a lot of questions. And again, these quarterbacks, there's no guarantees with these quarterbacks. We have not seen a draft over the last 3 or 4 years where we say, well, that guy's guaranteed. People thought Trevor Lawrence was, but I was questioning Trevor Lawrence too. Now, Trevor Lawrence this past year, was he as good as he was last year? I would say no. I really didn't think Trevor Lawrence grew from last year and his accomplishments in the playoffs. They didn't even make the playoffs this year. They lost in their final game. All they had to do was win, and they make the playoffs. They win the division. And maybe the Texans, the Texans aren't there.
But that's tough to do to Trevor Lawrence. He had a pretty bad ankle injury that he tried to play through and stuff. He wasn't 100%. So saying, oh, he's not any good.
No, I didn't say he's not. I did not say he's not any good. I don't believe that Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback that everybody thought, where he was going to change the game. He was going to be the next big thing.
He's still so young, man. Like, give him some time.
I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I will say this. if you were to look at his rookie season and you would look at CJ Stroud's rookie season, who do you think has looked better? Who's really stood
CJ
out?
Stroud. Yeah, CJ Stroud, yeah.
100%. He's stood out, and this year he's really
I
proven.
told you that in last
Yes,
year's
you
draft.
did.
I had said Stroud was
Yes.
the best one in this. Right.
Yeah, you did.
Bryce
And
Young's
I
a
like
cheaper elf. He's tiny. Get him out of here.
But he's been great. I mean, Will Levis, when he actually started to play, he looked pretty good too. So, and Bryce Young, maybe he was a bust. And in Carolina, it could set Carolina back for another 5-6 years. Who knows? And they don't even know who their coach is.
You don't say an Alabama quarterback's no good? Tell me more.
Well, Tua, it looks like he's a pretty good quarterback.
Tua stinks.
I know you don't like him.
Stinks.
I know you don't like him. But...
Dude, you could put you could put Bryce Young on that team and it'd be better. Dude, if you could put Speedy on that team and he could throw for yards.
I will say this. Tua never played in the cold like that in Kansas City. It was freezing and it was windy. It was definitely an advantage for Kansas City playing at home, and it'll be an advantage.
So you're saying a football player can't play in football?
No, I didn't say that. I said Tua's never played in that kind of cold, and I think that going into the game, there was an advantage that Kansas City had going right into the game, and
especially all the injuries they have in the trenches.
100%, and also I'm not saying that Tua's not good or he's not bad. I think Tua's arm in the game, you could tell that he wasn't throwing the ball right. It wasn't. It didn't look healthy.
But he has a weak arm, anyways.
I don't think so. He could throw the ball. He could throw the ball.
He has good deep accuracy. He doesn't have a big arm, but again, that kind of thing wouldn't have been the game plan for the snow weather.
No, but he looked like his arm there was something affecting his arm. It wasn't on. His throws weren't on. He's a very accurate quarterback. Oh, yeah. One of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. Are you going to tell me he was accurate in that game? He was horrible. And that had a lot to do with the weather.
Accurate.
Oh, come on. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league.
He has good deep accuracy metrics.
Right now, I think he was the most accurate quarterback in the league this year.
In
he
slot
was the
area,
number one accurate
slot areas, I think he was third.
I mean, honestly, you guys are just not watching football games. Like you're just not. Just because receivers catch them doesn't mean they're good throws. Like this whole thing where you just look at the numbers and go, they're the best because that's what the numbers.
No,
are.
Well, first of all, accuracy does combine numbers. It does when you look at the accuracy. So nobody. By the way, Keith. By the way, Keith
Prescott was the best quarterback this weekend.
But
congratulations to Dak. You were the best. You threw for 403 yards, more than anyone else.
And he threw 2 interceptions, and nobody said that he was.
Yeah, but the numbers say so. 403 yards, more than anyone else.
But hold on one second.
Jeff, I think anyone that knows the difference between regular stats and garbage time stats can tell the difference there.
Yeah. And
no, that's not true. Look up the numbers. That's what you have to do. You have to look at the numbers.
First of all,
we're not blindsiding and saying that it's just, all right, these are just regular basic numbers. No, there's advanced metrics that say Tua was good at accuracy in some parts of the field.
And again,
because they catch it doesn't mean he's accurate.
And first of all, and nobody's attacking. First of all, Lawrence. I never said Trevor Lawrence wasn't good. I said that Trevor Lawrence isn't the quarterback that everybody thinks he was coming out of Clemson. That's all I said. I never said he wasn't good.
I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong. And there's still, I agree that there's room for improvement, but I think he's pretty good.
I didn't say he wasn't good. I just don't think he's what everybody thinks he was. And as far as Dak Prescott's concerned, we'll get into the game.
What quarterback has lived up to the hype, though? Honestly, Justin Herbert isn't as good as he was hyped up to be. Joe Burrow has regressed from where he was.
Well, he's injured. That's why he was injured this year.
But that doesn't matter because it didn't matter for Trevor Lawrence.
Both of them get the same excuse.
No, you can't do that. You can't go, oh wow,
Joe Burrow took a team. Joe Burrow took a team to a Super Bowl. What did Trevor Lawrence do? Did he take a team to the Super Bowl?
No, but he went to the AFC Championship game with dog shit receivers, and the Bengals went there because they had Jamar Chase and all these other guys. Burrow had help.
Trevor Lawrence never went to an AFC title game.
I thought he did.
No, second round.
He went to the second round.
You're right, second round. Yeah, but he did it with almost nothing.
Okay, they said the Bengals' offensive line and their Super Bowl team was terrible too.
First of all, I wouldn't say Christian.
Better than Jacksonville's offensive line.
First of all, Christian Kirk wasn't nothing. Okay, he was one of the better wide receivers last year. I'm just saying he was. He was.
Okay, there's one, and Christian Kirk isn't even close to what Jamar Chase is. Now compare the other guys.
I'm not comparing talent versus talent, buddy.
Right.
All I'm
Because it's
saying,
a losing argument.
no, it isn't. There's no losing argument. Let's see what Trevor Lawrence. I can't wait until we come back to this a year from now, 6 months, 7, 8 months from now, when he has another bad, beginning of a season next year, and you make excuses for him again, because there's no excuse.
There's no excuses. I think, like I just said, there's room for improvement, but I still think he's.
And what makes Dak Prescott so bad? Okay, what makes him so bad? What, because he threw two interceptions?
Actually, you want to know what's funny? Let's go back to exactly what I told you when you were making the argument for him for MVP.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand why Cowboys fans hate him. He's an MVP candidate. And I explicitly told you both things can be true. He can put up the numbers and be an MVP candidate, and he sucks donkey dicks in the playoffs. And what happened? He ate donkey dicks in the playoffs.
He has nobody to throw to, donkey man.
CeeDee Lamb.
He has nobody to throw to. Who's he throwing to besides CeeD Lamb? Who else? Ferguson? He looks like he might be a player. We don't know.
But they didn't use him enough.
Pollard stinks. Okay.
Ferguson's good.
Oh, okay, stop. I just said
And
Ferguson.
it took them 3 quarters to figure out how to use him.
It wasn't him. It was McCarthy trying to figure out how to use them. But hey, you know what? Dak Prescott was bad because he threw 2 interceptions. He was also 41 for 60, 403 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Right,
I wouldn't put
but
those
it's
numbers
also-
out to be bad.
But it's also when you do them, right? Those interceptions were all in the first quarter. He gave the game away before it even
He also
started.
ran for 45 yards. I mean, are those really bad numbers? How about his defense actually stopped somebody? How about his defense? No, I'm just saying 41 for 60. Those aren't bad numbers. Those aren't bad numbers. Those are good numbers.
Look at the numbers.
The two, again, he ran for 45 yards. He wasn't the reason why they lost. Their defense was. They stink. They stink. Cooks is not solid. He stinks.
First of all, it's not all on the defense because Dak Prescott won through a pick 6, and the other interception put the defense in terrible field position. So, it's hard to defend that.
And everybody keeps saying 60 passes in a playoff game. How about this? Maybe if Pollard knew how to run the ball, he had 15 carries for 56 yards. That's not good.
Right, but you also
and they fell behind because their defense can't stop a nosebleed.
Right, but no, that's not true.
Really?
Really? Yeah, they scored 2
They were wide open.
touchdowns.
Me and you could have caught the ball.
They scored 2 offensive touchdowns, and the other 2 touchdowns were on Dak Prescott. Certainly, a pick 6 can't be on the defense, can it?
Jeff, you're going to see. For anybody to blame Dak Prescott, and it was all Dak Prescott, is ridiculous.
And for you to blame Tony Pollard is ridiculous because
I'm just saying he stinks.
I'm just saying he stinks. You don't run the football when you're down 27-0. You don't.
Well, thank the defense for that. That's Dak's
I'm
fault.
sorry.
It's all his fault. He's the one that's supposed to stop the wide receivers. He's supposed to be the corner.
No. Clearly, it's not Dak's fault. He was the best quarterback in the playoffs, 403 yards. Look at the numbers. Best quarterback.
Thank you for calling, Jeff. We love you.
All right, Beef, you can call now.
All right, Beef, you can call the show, and we will get into the games. I know everybody wants to hear our opinion, or maybe don't want to hear our opinion on the games, and we will get into that after our guest a little bit later in the show. We will go from one game to the other game to the other game. We'll go into the ins and the outs of the games and what we thought about it, and where do these teams go moving forward who are moving forward into the playoffs, and some of the teams that got eliminated, what they need to do in the offseason to make them better. But
he has arrived.
All right, Beef, what's up?
Well, he's an idiot, so we all know that.
All right, let's get into it.
So McCarthy sources, he's staying. I'm sick. I'm sick to my stomach.
Why are you sick?
How do you keep this asshole? How do you keep him?
Well, hold on one second. How do you keep him?
Win in the playoffs. He's a horrible coach.
Well, I will say this: his play calling was horrible. I thought the defense, and that has a lot to do.
Ridiculous.
They have no bench. They have nobody to help out in the corner position.
He's supposed to get this team over the hump, and he can't do it.
Well, the players have to play too. I mean,
but he sucks as a coach.
How about Jerry Jones give Dak Prescott another wide receiver? How about doing that? I mean, this is something that he's never done.
Fire McCarthy, you're bringing freaking Belichick. How about that?
All right, if you bring in Bill Belichick, does it really change this team in the first year, or it's going to take 2 or 3 years? Because remember, Bill Belichick is not going to keep DeMarcus Lawrence. He will not keep him there. Van Der Esch, he might, because I think
that's his type of linebacker.
That's his type of linebacker. I could see him keeping Van Der Esch.
Well, I think Van Der Esch is better than Lawrence.
Well, they're two different players. One's a pass rusher, one's a run-stopping coverage guy.
I don't know. Overall player, Van Der Esch is
Sure. What he does good, what Belichick does good is find corners. He's very good at finding secondary help, which, by the way, it's the Cowboys' weakness. So it might work. But here's the thing. Did Bill Belichick actually want to coach where Bill Parcells coached? He's always going to be looked at as a shadow guy of Bill Parcells. Everywhere why do you think he didn't want to? Hold on. Why do you think he did not want to take that Jets job? Besides Leon Hess selling the team to Woody Johnson, the main reason why was what? He didn't want to be Bill Parcells, shadow. He didn't want to be in his shadow. He wanted to go somewhere. And by the way, he still went to a team that Bill Parcells was coaching before he did. And actually, Bill Parcells took him to a Super Bowl and failed to win. So again, I'm looking at Bill Belichick. He doesn't want to be. He's arguably the greatest coach in NFL history.
100%.
Does he want to be? Does he want to be a Cowboy? Does he want to be under Jerry Jones and listen to Jerry Jones's crap? As we know, Jimmy Johnson, for the first time, gets inducted to the Cowboys Hall of Fame after 30 years?
Yeah, no, that was another ridiculous thing. So Jerry needs to just go on a plane and go away somewhere and leave the team alone. Leave it alone. Just leave us alone.
That'll never happen, unfortunately. He has too much of an ego.
Just leave it. I'm so sick of him. I'm so sick of looking at him.
And then, by the way, Keith says, he says he had a good wide receiver in Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's not there. They traded Amari Cooper because they signed him to a $100 million contract. Okay?
Got rid of him.
They traded him to Cleveland. And yes, he did. And that was when they had Amari Cooper when CeeDee Lamb was a rookie. It took CeeDee Lamb about 2 years to figure things out. And once he did, you know what? They wanted to make CeeDee Lamb the number one guy. So they traded Amari Cooper and got nothing for him.
Yeah, which was another bonehead move.
So, yes, they had Amari Cooper. But that defense wasn't ready. They finally built the defense. They got Micah Parsons. They did what they needed to do defensively, and they fell apart. They fell apart offensively, and that's been a big problem when it comes to the Cowboys. The Cowboys never fill in the blanks.
Dak Prescott too, because he's a horrible quarterback.
And yes, Keith, we all know it's about years and talking about the years. The Cowboys have had very good wide receivers, but over the last 3 years, they gave nothing to Dak. Nothing. And everybody's going to sit here and say it's Dak's fault. It wasn't Dak's fault. It was not Dak's fault. It's a team game.
He chokes in the
53 players, baby.
He wasn't the only reason.
Go look at his numbers against teams over 500. It's horrible.
Okay, so you're going to tell me that Dak, besides the 2 interceptions, you're going to say that Dak had a really bad game?
Yes, he did.
I disagree.
But so did the defense.
The ball should have been picked 4 times. The other guys
shoulda, coulda, woulda. Who's calling the plays? Is it Dak or is it Mike McCarthy?
Who's throwing the ball?
Yeah, he's throwing the ball.
He don't see the field. He's horrible.
Right. Maybe he needs to shove the football up his ass. I don't know.
He does.
Yeah, maybe you need to shove it up his ass and run behind him so it stays there.
He sucks. He's horrible.
All right. The other thing, Beav, how many times did you see CeeDee Lamb run a route above 9 yards in the first half?
We're not talking about CeeDee Lamb. We're talking about Dak Prescott.
Okay. I'm not saying it's his fault, CeeDee Lamb. I'm saying it's Mike McCarthy, too.
See the field.
He does not. Oh, I'm going to tell you right now, if the Cowboys decide to trade a guy like Dak Prescott, there'll be probably 28 teams lined up. They'll line up for him. They will line up for him. How is he shot? What makes him shot? I don't understand. What makes him shot? I'm done with this. With the Daniel Jones crap, all the Giant fans throwing him under the bus. He stinks. He's terrible. No, he doesn't. He does not stink. Daniel Jones doesn't stink. The reason why he hasn't played well is because the Giants haven't given him anything.
Daniel Jones is horrible. He's another horrible quarterback.
How is he horrible? He has no weapons. Who's he throwing to? 4th-string wide receivers? Guys that wouldn't be even on a team.
He wouldn't. He's another one that can't see the field. He's
2 out of the 3 starting wide receivers on this team are going to be gone next year, and they're not going to be signed by other teams. That tells you what the Giants had.
He's still not good. It doesn't matter what you give him.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Jared Goff had that same kind of thing his rookie year with the Rams. They get him wide receivers.
He's another.
Look at 2016, Jared Goff. He had the worst receiving core in the league.
I would take Daniel Jones over Mitch Trubisky.
Yes, of course. I think a lot of people would take Daniel Jones over Mitch Trubisky, but you can't deal with the receiving core that a team like the Giants have and expect your quarterback to be anything more than
Prescott
average.
cannot make the right decisions at the right moment. He doesn't think like that. He's not a thinker. He's a horrible quarterback.
All right, have fun trading Dak Prescott to the Atlanta Falcons with Bill Belichick over there, and they could go win a Super Bowl.
They're not going to win a Super Bowl with Dak. He's the problem. He needs to go. He's a problem.
He's not a problem. Here's the solution. Give a solution. Here's the solution. Give him another wide receiver. Give him another weapon on the other side.
He's still going to throw picks and he's not winning a big. Make all these mistakes. It doesn't matter.
It
He's not a good quarterback.
Let me ask you a question, Beef. Even if Dak wins that game, do you think he's any good?
Dak, no, he's not.
All right, so it doesn't matter if he won or lost. It wouldn't matter.
Rid of him. He's horrible.
Well,
They're never going to win.
what are you going to add? Who are you going to find that's better than Dak Prescott? Give me one. Give me one that's available. Free agent right now. Give me right now. Give me one.
Right now?
Right now. Give me one.
Who's better than Dak Prescott?
Right now. Who's available right now this offseason? Give me one.
Who's available?
Yeah.
Give me Trey Lance.
Are you nuts?
Okay.
Trey Lance?
Okay.
Trey Lance is backup quarterback? The guy that lost his job to a 7th-round draft pick?
Put him in. He's
Are you nuts? What are you, lost? I mean, that's as bad as Barry Sanders being better. I'm sorry, Zeke being better than Barry Sanders.
You can go back there. I don't care. I want him out.
I probably listen. I don't know if I could throw the ball like that, but hey, you know what? I mean, if they were as open as all the wide receivers that were open for the Green Bay Packers, hey, why not? I could throw a ball that far.
If you're talking about the same Trey Lance that with a
it was lobbed up. Those balls were lobbed up.
This kid was good in college. You don't know what he had yet. He's never gotten a chance.
Okay, he also struggled on a loaded 49ers team to win a starting quarterback job.
The line wasn't built yet for him. Stop.
The line for the 49ers?
49ers? They have the best left tackle in football.
Yeah, right now.
Okay, they have holes on their line, but they still have 3 good, capable starters on that line, a very creative offensive play caller, and talented skill players.
Why is Brock Purdy playing well if Trey Lance had no offensive line?
He didn't have McCaffrey there, did he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Trey Lance was on the 2022 49ers, could not win the starting quarterback job.
He did. And he can win. He's not good. Give me another one. Give me another. I'll give you names. You tell me if they're better than Dak. Jimmy Garoppolo?
That I take him.
Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo. You're going to take Jimmy Garoppolo over Dak Prescott,
who's also very injury prone.
Injury prone. You're going to bring him in. You trade Dak, and he'll get injured in the first or second game. And then who you have? Cooper Rush? Are you kidding me? Oh, we'll just play Trey Lance. Why not? Let's play him.
Give the
Let's
kid
play
a shot.
The guy stinks. He stinks.
Why are you trusting that?
Kyle Shanahan walked away from him. Now, Justin Fields, if he becomes available, maybe the Cowboys make a move. I would look at that, but what are you going to give up for him? What are you going to give up for him? Give me a player that the Dallas Cowboys have that the Chicago Bears are going to want. Let's hear it.
Don't know.
Exactly.
You'll have to trade Dak in the deal.
You don't know. Nobody knows. Because it's not going to happen.
I don't know. I'm giving Dak and DeMarcus Lawrence and the first round pick.
DeMarcus Lawrence? Are you nuts? Why would anybody take on a contract like that?
And they can throw in a cheerleader too.
Oh, I take a cheerleader. I'll take the whole cheerleading squad.
No,
That's what I'm trading for.
No, Beef, you can't do that. The Chicago Bears don't have cheerleaders.
Well, they'll have one.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Bears are a pretty poorly run team, but I don't think they're that poorly run where they would take on a cheerleader in a deal.
Well, they might. You never know.
I just don't know. Who do you think would fit there better than Dak Prescott?
The bottom line is, all the joking aside, the bottom line is he's not a good quarterback. He's not.
Zach Wilson's not a good quarterback. Zach Wilson is not a good quarterback. You were sticking up for. You would rather Zach Wilson over Dak. What are you, nuts? What are you, nuts?
At this point, yes.
That guy stinks.
And Zach Wilson is not much worse or better than Trey Lance right now.
Not much worse. I wouldn't take any of them.
I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying,
throw them both out.
Regardless of who you think is actually better, like they're both similarly bad right now.
The guy is crap. He's garbage.
I disagree. I think there'll be teams lining up for him.
Just take the trash out now. Just take him out. He's horrible.
Listen, you have a right to not like him. There's a lot of Cowboys that don't like him.
You could stick Pollard in there with them too and get rid of Bull.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Put Pollard there. Everybody wants
Pollard's
Pollard.
going to be gone anyway. He's on the franchise tag. He'll probably be gone.
You want to throw garbage for a quarterback? Nobody's going to take garbage for a quarterback.
Hey, Beef, here's the other thing, too. Let's say that the Cowboys do trade Dak Prescott. You think CeeDee Lamb's going to be very happy for a guy that's looking for a big contract?
I don't care what CD wants.
All right, fine. Enjoy losing him, too, then.
You want to hear what Snug said? Hashtag pray for Bayshore.
It's ridiculous.
What do you have to say to Snug?
Snug, he can go fuck himself. How about that? Excuse my language.
I know.
That's what he can go do.
Oh, man. I just think you're crazy, man.
The way you're talking, Beef, you want to just shut everything down and just start from scratch.
Shut everything down.
I don't know. You want to trade Dak? You don't care if CeeDee Lamb's disappointed. Okay.
He can't win in a playoff game. What don't you understand? He
All right,
can't
then
win.
tear everything apart if you're going to want to trade Dak.
He can't win.
Okay, neither can anyone else.
He doesn't have the mentality to win. He doesn't have.
It's not easy to win. You like Tony Romo. What did he win?
He's a better quarterback.
You're out of your mind. He stunk. He was horrible. He couldn't win. You want to talk about a guy that can't win a big game? Go watch the flop of the field goal kick that he had against Seattle. You want to talk about a bad freaking game? That guy stinks. He's a great broadcaster. He's going to be a Hall of Famer for that. There's no question. Play-by-play, the guy's amazing. He's fantastic.
The Cowboys are also the only team I've ever seen in 3 straight years in week 17 when they could have won the division to lose all 3 games in a row. Now, granted, he played well against the Giants. That was an offensive game.
With Tony Romo.
Okay, but the Giants game was an offensive game. I'll give you that. But they lost like 37-34. But the Washington game the next year was a low-scoring game. The Eagles game that year was an ugly game. And they lost all 3 of those.
It's not. Well, that wasn't Romo's fault.
I didn't say all of it was Romo's fault. Just like I'm saying all of it now here is not Dak's fault.
Dak Prescott is
If
the
Dak
worst
Prescott,
quarterback they ever had.
if the Cowboys lost the game 17-10 or something like that, it was a low-scoring game and Dak had those numbers. Okay, fine. They lost 48. They allowed 48 points.
The worst quarterback in the league. He's horrible.
I disagree.
So where is the blame for the defense that allowed? All right, besides the defensive touchdown, okay, they allowed 40 points. Are you going to get rid of all of them? You're going to go trade Micah Parsons then if you're going to do that.
No, I nothing to do with Parsons.
What do you mean it had nothing to do with Parsons? What did he do in that game?
What
did he do?
They took him out of the game.
They took him out of the game in the 4th quarter. He played 3 quarters.
No, the defense, I mean, the offensive line, they took him out of the game. That's what I mean. Like they did things to prevent them from getting to the quarterback.
So if Micah Parsons gets a pass for not being able to adjust to that, why are you throwing Dak? Why are you throwing Dak for the same thing?
They were doubling and triple teaming him.
That's fine. So Dak Prescott, they weren't doing that to CeeDee Lamb? Like,
was bad. Prescott needs to see the field better. The throws that he was making was horrible.
Maybe you should teach him. Maybe you should go over there to Dallas and tell Dak that you're going to be.
Maybe I should fly down to Dallas and set them straight.
Yeah, well, that would be great. I mean, my name is Beef. You wear your Just Beef It shirt. Just Beef It. No, I think it's great. I mean, you could promote it, advertise it. I mean, Dak will wear your Beef It shirt, and then you could just beat it. You know, beef it, beat it.
If I was someone that franchise, they win a Super Bowl in 2 years.
Really?
Oh yeah.
All right, I'll tell you what.
With their draft pick of CeeDee McKinney over CeeDee Lamb.
I'll tell you what. I have a perfect. If you were to build your team right now, when it comes to a cap, okay, if you had $30 million. Hold on. I'll give you any player. I'll give you any player. If you were to build a team right now, you had $30 million to spend. Who do you buy?
I have to sit down and think about
it. No. You. If you're a GM, you would know. I could tell you right now, it would help the Cowboys right now if they had $30 million.
Especially if your plan is to trade Dak Prescott. You better have a good backup plan.
So
any player you want. Any player you want.
You would need a couple players.
No, you have $30 million. You're the GM of the team.
You would need another.
You need no. That's not what I'm asking. You have 30. That's not the question here. $30 million.
You would need 3 players.
No, $30 million. You have it on the cap. You have about 35. I'll give you 38 million. Okay, that's a lot of money. 38 million. You might have enough to get 2 players. Who do you bring in right now? Anybody you want. You can pick even guys signed right now. Give me 3 players that makes your team a contender. Give it to me.
Guys signed right now.
Anybody you want. Anybody in the league right now. Quickly. Right off the head.
I have to sit down and think about it.
What do you mean you have to think about it? I can tell you right now, if I was a GM, who would I Who would I put? Right now, Christian McCaffrey is my number one guy. I bring him in. That changes my team automatically. You're now you have to worry about the run. You worry about the pass. He can dominate the game right there, right then and there. Okay. You know what my second guy is? Take a guess.
Yeah.
Take a guess.
Defensive, another wide receiver.
Nope.
A defensive guy.
Nope.
Corner.
Nope.
Corner.
Nope.
Offensive lineman.
Nope.
Tight end.
That's right. And who would I bring in? Athletic tight end that can run.
The guy from Detroit.
What?
The guy from Detroit.
Damn right.
It was affordable. He's on a rookie contract. That means you have about
Damn
19 million
right.
left.
You bring in Laporta, you bring in McCaffrey, you're a Super Bowl contender. Bam. Super Bowl contender right there. With the whole team you have right now.
The secondary is still not good.
Secondary, when they were healthy with Diggs and
with Diggs.
And listen, you draft a guy. You draft a guy. You could still draft a guy. I'm saying building a team. Come on. If you sit here right now, what was the problem for the Cowboys in that game? What was, besides the secondary and despite the defensive woes they had in the game, what was the problem?
Dak Prescott throwing, making mistakes.
No, they fell behind. They fell behind too quick.
Yes,
because
of Prescott.
If you control the time with the running back and you have a dominant guy that can do things outside and in, you can win. And they didn't have that in that game. That was the problem.
Dak Prescott. It's a problem. Can't win with him because he's not a leader. He is not a leader.
Well,
he's not.
We love you, Beef. Call back.
He needs to go crawl back in his hole and stay in there.
All right, B. We love you, man.
Good night.
Oh, the Beef. And of course, Jeff talking crap as always, but it is what it is. We're still waiting.
Yeah, Will said he's running late. He's going to give me about 10 minutes.
All right, so why don't we go through some of the games? We will get into the Kelce, the Jason Kelce thing a little bit later in the show. So let's go Cleveland and Houston first.
All right.
And you'll go first, and then I'll give you my thoughts to it.
Yeah, so Cleveland's defense definitely got exposed for what they were throughout the regular season. I give CJ Stroud a lot of credit. This is a guy that had a lot of receiver injuries to go along with that. And Nico Collins really did a lot of it, but they also used the tight ends very well, too. I think they were really exposed to the weakness of this Cleveland defense. When Cleveland doesn't get a pass rush, it's trouble for them, and they couldn't do that all game. So credit to Stroud and that Houston offensive line. As for the Browns offense, I mean, once Amari Cooper was taken out in the second half, they just had no answer.
Yeah, and Joe Flacco, everybody thought that Joe was playoff Joe, and he looked so good when they brought him in, and he just didn't have one of those good games. 34 for 46, 307 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Could have had 3 interceptions. He didn't throw the ball very well. He wasn't confident in the pocket, and the offensive line broke down so much in that game. An offensive line that was one of the better offensive lines in the league this year broke down against a young Texan defensive line. And by the way, I have to give CJ Stroud a lot of credit. He didn't have one of those crazy games. He was 16 for 21, 274 yards and 3 touchdowns. But another thing, the breakdown in the secondary of the Cleveland Browns. I mean, the secondary was horrible in the game. All the money they invested in that secondary just was putrid. And again, what I saw in that game was dominating the clock, controlling the game, and the defense. It really was all about the trenches, and that's what wins championships. Am I right or wrong? Mm-hmm. It's really, everybody keeps saying about the quarterback. The quarterback has to make the important throws, but it's all about the running game. Which, by the way, the running game wasn't so dominant. I mean, Singletary had a decent game, 13 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown. It wasn't really the running game. It was really the dominance of the trenches. The offensive line of the Texans played very well protecting CJ Stroud. He barely got sacked in the game, and the fact of the defensive line and what the Texans did to the offensive line of the Browns was fantastic, and it was very well coached. It really was. And by the way, for a Browns team that is very well coached, for a young coach to do what he did in his first playoff game was amazing. So congratulations to the Houston Texans. Whatever happens moving forward, the Texans deserve a lot of credit for a great season. And with a rookie coach, rookie quarterback, and really a bunch of young, talented players.
All right, looks like Will is here now. So you want to go to a break or you want to go right to him?
Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we will be talking to Fox 26 Houston sports reporter and anchor Will Kunkel here on the Sports Loudmouth.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth partying with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Oh, I know Will likes this. 631 672 3108. Yeah, you're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and listen to the shows is check out your local listings by going to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Well, he's been busy, and he's moving all over the place. He goes from Charlotte now to Houston, New York native, ladies and gentlemen. We're now talking to Fox 26 Houston sports reporter and anchor, Will Kunkel. Will, what's up, man?
What's up, boys? I have not covered football this late in a calendar ever, so it's been a blast, man. And how about the Texans? Who would have thought, too?
Oh, I'll tell you this, and one of our guys, Jake Asman, he was there for a while. He was working for ESPN. Now he's working for ESPN New York, and he's doing well over here. And when Speedy told me you moved from Charlotte to Houston, I didn't know that. And congratulations, you deserve it. Well deserved. You've worked really hard over the last couple of years, and you belong where you belong. And as you grow, you can say you know us, and we could say we know you because we love you as always. So why don't we get into it? The Houston Texans have had a fun, fantastic. I almost said funny, but a fun, fantastic season. Nothing funny about it. They've been unbelievable. CJ Stroud, he spoke up at the draft. He really thought he was mistreated. So many different experts said that he could fall out of the first round. He went number 2. He swore that he was going to give the Texans a quarterback to remember, taking over for a Watson who likes to get his hand jobs, as we all know. But hey, maybe hopefully CJ Stroud likes to keep his hands to himself because we know Watson doesn't. But anyways, what are your thoughts this year to the young quarterback, and what has really changed for this organization going into the offseason?
So I think that it all started with the hiring of DeMeco Ryans, his strong faith, and then you pair that with CJ Stroud's strong faith, the way they've really just kind of the way they live life and who they are as human beings has really helped this culture. DeMeco Ryans' passion for the game, his energy, his positivity, like it was just very different. And then, Nick Caserio, the general manager, having the huevos to trade up from, 12 or somewhere in the teens up to number 3 to get Will Anderson. And then, whether or not CJ Stroud was top of their board, who knows? Most people did have Bryce Young. It's a conversation for a different day about the situation in Carolina. But the whole demeanor changed with the hiring of DeMeco Ryans and the drafting of CJ Stroud. And I say this all the time, like every team, generally speaking, is a head coach and a quarterback away from figuring it out. Because if you don't have those, then forget about it. You're never going to be any good. And you're always trying to scheme around it. You're always trying to figure things out around not having the two most important parts of your team. And it's not about the coaching of the X's and O's as much as it is really about the culture and having those guys have the buy-in to what you're selling. So I think that's the biggest answer.
So you covering CJ Stroud in Houston, like what is he like from a leadership perspective on and off the field with this team culture and with these players too? Because they had a lot of injuries at the end of the season too with their offense.
Yeah, like beloved. I mean, from day one. So before he even got in the building, right after the draft, he grabbed veterans, he grabbed rookies, all the dudes that were tight ends and wide receivers. He bought their plane tickets, flew them out to, was it Scott? I think it was Scottsdale. Maybe it was either
Arizona.
California or Arizona. Was it Arizona? Okay.
Arizona.
So it was Arizona, got him a mansion and just like told Nico Collins, like, dude, you're a star. Like you have the ability to be a star. And this dude had not had success in the NFL coming out of Michigan. 2 years, he was under 500 yards. He's now over 1,200 yards this season. Like that's an unbelievable turnaround. Brevin Jordan, kid out of Florida, didn't have great success last year. Thought he was going to get cut this year, he told me. Now he had that 75-yard touchdown in the playoff game. Like he makes people around him better. He is absolutely beloved. He holds chapel on Saturdays. I say he kind of led that, and a lot of guys, coaches and players go. These guys love each other, and so when you know the why of the dude next to you, and you want to fight for that dude next to you, you're going to go the next step on the game and sacrifice just a little bit more because you know the dude next to you needs you to be your best in that moment. When you're in a situation where you just don't give a damn, like you're going to mail it in and just get your check, go home and be good. But when you see something special building, like all that stuff that doesn't show up in analytics and all that stuff that doesn't show up in the box score sheet, that stuff is so real. And this team has the talent and they have the buy-in and the care for each other.
We are speaking to Fox 26, Houston sports reporter and anchor Will Kunkel, who's been on our show before, a friend of the show. We love him. And going into this game against Cleveland, there was a lot of questions. The Cleveland Browns have been here before. They have a great defense, probably the best defense in football all season long. They were practically healthy going into the game. There were some spots that could have been filled. They bring in Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has had a sensational time since he's been there. He's played 4 or 5 unbelievable games, took this team all the way into the playoffs. And everybody thought, hey, Joe's done this before. He's gone on these runs. He won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. And they were like, this is a Texan young team. They don't even belong there. They were lucky to make it. If Trevor Lawrence pulled out that win again in the final game of the season, maybe the Texans don't even make the playoffs. So I mean, what were your thoughts going into the game? What were their thoughts going into the game? Did they have the belief that they were going to knock off one of the better defenses in the league?
Like the confidence in that locker room, it's confident, not cocky. Like truly, none of them say dumb things. None of them talk out of pocket. They all say the right things, but there's a whole bunch of confidence. When you have number 7, when you have a quarterback, the game's so different because, every time you touch the ball, you're one play away. And that's exactly what we saw from the offense against the number 1 defense in the NFL. Not like top 5 in this metric and that. The number 1 defense overall, they picked apart and it looked easy as well. So I think they knew that they were going to win. I thought they had the chance to win because I thought that I thought the defense for the Texans was healthy. So they were going to be able to slow the Browns down. And then it kind of got into that back and forth to start, and you're thinking, man, this is going to be a tough one, but you got the guns to do it offensively. Now can the defense make some plays? And then they gave up those 14 points, and then that was it. Like the second half for the Texans defense was pick six, turnover on downs, game over. Like it was a wrap, and they made them look bad. And the reason that this public has that perception of the Texans is because they didn't study anything about the Texans. They don't know anything about the Texans. The Texans aren't the Green Bay Packers. They're not the Dallas Cowboys. They aren't getting all this shine like the Browns were coming into the season. So the national media will look at, say 10 teams. And these are the 10 teams that are going to compete for the playoffs, and maybe 5 of them will have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And if they're not one of those teams, they don't really know anything about it because by the time that they're in the playoff hunt, they're like, all right, maybe they're like in the hunt on the graphic, right? And that's what the Texans were. Well, they got healthy at the right time. They became good at the right time. They got all the confidence at the right time. Now the national media is playing catch up. I always used to say this when I covered Cam, and I told you that this last time. Like Cam Newton was the ultimate professional. He was the ultimate teammate. He was absolutely beloved. But the national media didn't cover the Panthers. They didn't care about Carolina because Charlotte's a small town. It's a small market. So every time they talked about Cam, it was about the towel over his head or him not diving on the football, whatever small, minute thing that they found, they drew this whole picture to be Cam Newton when it wasn't reality. So now, for instance, we had a reporter in the Texans press conference today, and the question was, what did you know about Will Anderson before the draft, and what have you got to know about him? Like, dude, we're in the divisional round of the playoffs. That story's been done 100 times. So now all these people that don't know shit about the team come in here and start asking these dumbass questions that have been asked 100 times, and it's old news. Like, we know Will Anderson's story at this point if you follow the team, but the national media comes in and it's like going to Chicago for the first time, right? As a journalist, like, oh, did you guys hear about the taste of Chicago? Like, bro, that story's been done. Like, that's been done. It's just new to you. The Texans are new to you. They're still like, we're way past all that, and they're a good team. So it's time to jump on board, or don't be here, man, doing these puff pieces.
So one of our fans of the question, would you vote DeMeco Ryans as coach of the year for what he's done this season?
Man, so I don't know how you go against DeMeco. Like, I don't know how you go against it. I will say what Stefanski did with the Browns is the best argument. Without a quarterback, without Nick Chubb, the running back, and they had him in the same exact spot. Obviously, they lost. But again, if you have your quarterback, he did it. He's the first rookie head coach and first rookie quarterback to ever win the division. I don't know how you go against them, but I get the argument for Stefanski because they had a ton of injuries truly throughout the year and were still relevant. And then the kid, what's his name, with the Colts, decent argument, but I think DeMeco did a better job than him.
Mike McDaniel did very well too with the Miami Dolphins as well. So
did he? Because he never beat anybody good. They were fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I no doubt. And I think he's a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Did they ever beat anybody good? They got waxed when it mattered most against the best teams.
Yeah, and again, like we say, you play who's on your schedule, and
100%.
Obviously, he didn't play well against the better teams on his schedule. But
I would make more of a case that John Harbaugh should be the coach of the year because of what he did with his team. Like, he did a great job, but what we do is we're like, oh my God, look at little DeMeco. Like, no one was expecting anything. So let's give it to him. It's more like who did the most with the least, when in reality, maybe there were some coaches that, like Kyle Shanahan, everything runs through Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we're like, everything runs through Kyle. So if that team's not good, it's because Kyle's not being good. Not to say that's not the case with DeMeco, but those two guys aren't going to ever get consideration because they have great players.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great players that people recognize as great players beforehand.
Brian Daboll won coach of the year, and now everybody hates him.
Not true.
That's also New York, right?
Well, four assistant coaches and one top-notch defensive coordinator decided to leave.
Man, ego's crazy, man. And I don't know the whole story, but some of it just sounds like a lot of ego and control. And it's something that DeMeco doesn't have. He's allowed players to suggest to do things differently in practice. I saw when Matt Rule was the head coach of the Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater wanted to do more 2-minute practice, and he was like, nah, like, we're doing it this way. Jimmy Ward suggested more 2-minute defensive and offensive practices, and DeMeco said, all right, I think you're right. They did it. And the next game came down to 2 minutes, and the guys said they were so much more comfortable because they ran through it that many more times.
Yeah, that sounded like the 2021 Panthers season. I think like every game they lost like 17-13 or something like that, it seemed like. And they had a lot of talent that was being wasted over there.
There was a ton of talent that was wasted because of it's hard. Like, I don't want to just crap on the Panthers, but it's easy right now. But it's hard to build a team. Like, it's hard to get the head coach. It's hard to get the head coach while you get the quarterback. It's hard to get the quarterback while you got to get it all together. That's why I know you're going to hate it, but the Patriots, what they did under Belichick are like, bro, like, we'll never see that again. That's crazy to put that together that well consistently.
Mm-hmm. And that has a lot to do with the quarterback and the coach.
All of it.
We are talking to Fox 26 Houston sports reporter and anchor Will Kunkel. Will, now you're going into a game, a divisional game against one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. They've proven it this year that they have the most talent, all-around talent. And Lamar Jackson, who was fighting for a contract in the offseason, had his mother, being his agent. He's one of very few people that decided to go into the offseason with no agent and get the contract that he deserves. And who knows where the Baltimore Ravens were last year if he was under contract. Maybe he comes and he plays in the playoffs with the injury that he had. But, hey, this year they've been unbelievable defensively. They've been one of the best in the league. Their offensive line has had one of the better seasons, one of the top 5 offensive lines in football, and they can run the ball. They lost their best running back in J.K. Dobbins. It didn't matter. Edwards filled in. This guy fills in. Now they bring in Dalvin Cook. They're unbelievable. What are your thoughts going into a big game in Baltimore? By the way, I think Lamar Jackson's only lost, I think, 2 or 3 games at home in his whole career. It's not easy to beat them there. And it might be very, very cold and wet out on the weekend. So what do they need to do? And do you think they have a chance against the lethal Baltimore Ravens?
Well, they definitely have a chance. I definitely think the Ravens, have the upper hand, and they're going to be, if someone loses, it's going to be them getting quote unquote knocked off. But the recipe to win, as the Giants did in the past, was in a disruptive defense, ideally a defensive-minded head coach, because your team takes on that persona on the way when you're on the road, and it's us against the world, and it's like you want to be disruptors, and then a stud quarterback. And the Eli Manning played his best quarterbacking was in the playoffs. Joe Flacco, when they went on that run, it was an elite quarterback to showcase. And that's what CJ Stroud's doing. So you've got the guy that can make the plays when it comes down to it, and you got a defense that can just make things tough enough for the other team to get things going, and then you're around late. And the Texans, I think, are now 7-3, 7-3 in one possession games this season. So they're equipped. I don't know how they're going to do in the conditions, because the last game they played in conditions was the Jets game, and they got absolutely dumped on, proverbially and maybe literally at that point. They allowed Zach Wilson to throw for 301 yards. I don't know that he's thrown it for that many yards in his career leading up to that game. It was horrible. So that was the last time.
I knew this. Thank you.
I mean, 300 yards the last
that
4
one
games
loss,
combined.
that one loss could have the Jets at 10, drafting at 6 or 5. So thank you to the Texans for losing a game they should have won.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that the Texans lost to Zach Wilson and the Jets, and he went off. Desmond Ridder and the Falcons, he went off. Bryce Young and the Panthers, and he went off. 3 of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL torched the Texans. And then the Texans beat Russell Wilson when he was on fire. They beat Joe Flacco when he was on fire. They beat Gardner Minshew when they were playing really well. They played Lamar pretty well in week 1, just to go back to this matchup. So that's the recipe, is to be as disruptive as possible. Now, obviously, I was talking to the defensive coordinator for the Texans today, Matt, and he was saying the mental side of you've got Lamar in your grasp, right? And you're this far away, inches away from a 4th and 17, right? But he escapes, he runs down the field 37 yards. Now it's a first down. It's like, bro, that was a 48-yard turnaround. Like, this is mentally, to get over things like that is another hurdle you got to get over when you're playing Lamar. And so it's going to be tough. Like, I think obviously the Ravens are a better team that they've put together, and they've played a tougher schedule. But I'm not going to be blown away if the Texans win this game.
No, and I think,
and if they do, I don't think it's going to be like the Browns game, by the way. I would be shocked if it looked like that.
Well, anything's possible. We've seen Baltimore lay up a lousy.
That's true.
Tuesday.
Like, remember they got waxed by the Titans a year ago.
Yeah, so anything's possible. But I do believe that there's a lot of questions with the Baltimore Ravens and what they're going to put up as far as numbers are concerned. And again, Lamar Jackson is a guy that goes into these games. He's very confident. CJ Stroud and him are very alike in a lot of ways. Obviously, CJ has a better arm than him, but Lamar, he has a strong arm. And I think what Lamar does better than anybody is he can move outside of the pocket, and he creates room to run. And when he does, he's almost impossible to stop when he hits that second gear. He's so fast and so dangerous in the open field. Now, I believe what Houston needs to do is bring up those linebackers, put pressure on him, make him throw the ball, make him make mistakes in the pocket. If you do that, you win the game. And I think that could happen. They did it in that game against, it's Joe Flacco. He's an old man. I call him Old Man Joe.
But you watch tape on Flacco, he was moving pretty well in the pocket. He wasn't like breaking free like Lamar does by no stretch, but like he was mobile enough to where he was breaking for, and he's huge. Like, if that dude walked into a bar, everyone would be like, oh my, like, what does that guy do? Like, that guy is huge. And so he's not easy to break down.
No question. And he's Old Man Joe. He was hanging out on his parents' his sofa. This guy's a multimillionaire, and when he gets a call from the Browns, he's sitting on his parents' sofa. This is a multimillionaire What are you doing at your parents' house? Are you living there? What's
Well, it's not like
going
you
on?
disown them. It was just like he's got a lot of time on his hands.
It's not Aaron Rodgers who has to speak to his family.
Oh, hold on. Stop throwing Aaron Rodgers under the bus here. What the hell is this all about here? What is always the Jets? Well, let's make fun of the Jets today. I mean, seriously. I mean,
Well, when was the last time the Jets weren't an easy punchline? Bart Scott?
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. I do love you as a person. I'm just a little lost with the Jets, and everybody likes to make jokes, and the Jets are always the team to crack on. So
Hey,
thank you.
give Will credit. He's resisted enough to try to make fun of the Carolina Panthers.
That's true. I mean, but he's no longer working with them, so what does he care? I mean, he's working with.
He
the
still
Houston
knows
Texans.
people there, though.
They're
So do I.
run
What
so
does that mean?
poorly. They're run so poorly.
They have a rich owner that likes to spend money on coaches, and then he keeps them for a couple of years and says, I don't need them. Let's send him over to college. He's making more millions, and we'll bring more stupid people in there. And then they bring in a coach who I think if they just gave him a little bit of time with the quarterback, hey, maybe he figures things out. Oh, no, we're going to fire him in the middle of this
Well,
season.
that was a bad hire. I thought it was a good hire at the time. And I'll tell you why it's a bad hire, because I talked to people that said he didn't do anything that he said he was going to do in the interview process, and that he got walked all over by the players. And that was so I talked to people at the Colts, and they were shocked to hear that, because they heard it as well from people, because he was like a leader of men, and that was why they brought him in, because they wanted to have that culture of an alpha male in there that didn't have the ego that Matt Rule had. And then Frank just got walked all over, and it was coaches and players. It was sad to see, honestly, because I think Frank is an awesome human being.
Yes,
And I think he's now done in the NFL. I think he's just like, we're good here.
Well, maybe the Jets bring him in as the offensive coordinator. I love that. It's not going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen because, Aaron runs the team.
Aaron wants Nathan.
Aaron runs the team, and Aaron says, Aaron gets. As Woody Johnson and Aaron says, listen, if you want the team, I'll give you a piece of it. I'll give you.
Can he ask for new turf? Because that turf is shit. What the hell?
Horrible. I won't even use those words because I have been on that turf, by the way. It is putrid. As a matter of fact, it feels like I'm walking on mud or it's quicksand. That's what it is. So no wonder why all these guys are tearing their knees.
We left when the Texans left. I think they had 5 or 6 starters that just left the game because of injuries. I mean, it was horrible.
I think Miami had 2 in that same game too when they played the Jets. Like a lot of their guys got hurt, and then they got
fix
hurt
it, guys. You got 2 owners in there. Split it. Go 50-50. Like 50 to goal line, 50 to goal line. Come on.
We're gonna do you a favor. We're gonna call MetLife Stadium Pitt Stadium. Okay.
Isn't MetLife an insurance company, for God's sakes, too?
Yes.
Listen, I'm going to need insurance after my weekend, okay? So.
Oh, you get after it?
I was in Toronto. Enough said on that one. That's a whole nother story. We're not going to get into it, Will. I spoke about it.
Let's head to the beginning of the show. It's basically the Niagara Nightmare.
That's what it's called, the Niagara Nightmare. That's perfect.
Better than the Viagra
Nightmare.
nightmare.
The Niagara Nightmare. Thank you. But it was a nightmare, by the way. It was horrible. And honestly, quickly, I'll just tell you quickly. It went from a vacation, a 4-night, 5-day vacation that probably should have cost us $2,500 to cost us maybe $6,200 over. Yeah. And by the way, just so you know, it was nothing that we bought. Okay. So that tells you where we were on that vacation.
Good
and by the
you.
way, thank you to, what do they call it? Air Canada for being such a destructive, plain organization that don't know what the hell they're doing. They're a plain organization. And I don't mean by planes, just plain organization that don't even know their ass from their tailbone. They're a bunch of idiots over there.
Isn't that the entire airline industry right now? Like we got doors falling off of planes right now. What's going on, dude?
I was very close. So we get into the front of the line because I'm not going to get into it. And this Canadian guy is telling people to get in front of us. They're moving guys on the line. I'm looking at him. I'm like, wait a second. We were on this line for an hour and 40 minutes. He looks at me like he turns his head And he looks forward. I say, that's right. If you turn your head again, I'm going to spit in your face. He pissed me off so much. And I wanted to choke him. I wanted to give him that Undertaker, what do they call that? The tombstone. I just wanted to flip him over and drop him on his head. Made me so mad. And then we get up there and the lady, she was trying to be nice, but I couldn't control myself. But anyways, Will, we love
a nice
you.
time.
Congratulations on your
Thank you, brother.
growth and where you are right now in your career. And as you grow, you'll come back to New York and you'll be a superstar here in the very near future. Say hello to your wife. How are the kids doing over there?
So no kiddos yet, just the wifey. She's loving it down here, man.
I was trying. You see, I was trying to
Yay.
slip it. Maybe he'll tell us that
Me
she's
too.
pregnant. I was trying, man. I'm trying. I'll
In
tell
due
you why I
time.
wasn't. You got time, man. You got time.
I guess.
I'm starting to lose some time. I don't know, man. I might have a heart attack by the time.
All of us are losing time. You keep going to Toronto, you're gonna have a heart attack. It sounds.
Oh, that's true too. I mean, if I keep going to Toronto, I might never be found again. Okay, so that's a whole nother story too, and I'll get into that another day. Anyways, Will, keep up the good work. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate you having me.
Will Kunkel, ladies and gentlemen, fantastic. He really is always a fantastic personality. Does so well over there in Houston. I did not know he moved from Carolina to Houston.
Yeah.
And I definitely better football over there. Better baseball too.
Yeah, no, that's how I found out. Like he was randomly tweeting about the Astros.
They don't even have baseball in Carolina.
August, September, or something like that. Which I know he's a Yankee fan, so I don't know why he would be tweeting about the Astros. I'm like, oh, he's in Houston now. Nice.
Here we go. They don't have a hockey team over there.
Not yet.
Not yet.
You
but
never know.
They might. They might. Speedy, maybe we should reach out to Houston, kind of throw a bone. Okay. Maybe you throw more bones. Do you like bones?
I don't think that would slur.
Do you like bones?
No, I don't.
Have you ever tried to lick a bone? Have you ever tried to you ever try a doggy bone?
No.
You've never tried a doggy bone?
No.
You've never tried to eat one of those biscuits? How about a doggy biscuit? Have you ever had
No.
I've had a doggy biscuit.
Okay.
It tastes like bacon. Have you ever tried it?
No, I haven't.
Bacon. You remember that commercial?
Yes,
That
I know
bacon
the commercial.
Now, Speedy, I'm serious here. Have you ever tried to lick the bone that you gave your dog?
No.
You've never tried it?
No.
Why?
Not worth it.
What do you mean it's not worth it? Have you ever tried? So how do you know it's worth it? If
I'm
you've never
not
tried?
taking the chance.
Why? Is it going to kill you? Is the bone going to kill you? Are you going to choke
I
on
don't
it?
need my dog going after it and trying to bite my head.
Wait. Well, hold on 1 second. You put the bone in your mouth and your dog's going to bite your head off?
If I get there.
Oh, well, hold on 1 second. So what am
I gonna do?
The first thing the dog's going to see is a bone in your mouth. He's going to say, all right, it's time to attack.
Maybe.
What are you, nuts?
Maybe.
What are you? I know your dog likes to lick your ass, but I never knew.
I'm not worth the risk, regardless.
Well, it's a weird thought. I did, by the way. I've tried. I always wanted to try this. One of my friends said you should try these doggy biscuits. They actually taste good. It tastes like human food. So I said and he actually started throwing these things in his mouth, and I was like, oh, that's disgusting. And I tasted it. It was actually pretty good. So it actually cleans your teeth too and everything. Speed. I think you need that.
Okay.
Do you clean your teeth every day?
Yes, but I don't need to do it with dog biscuits.
How about do you floss every day?
No.
What do you mean you don't floss? When was the last time you went to the dentist?
Wow, years ago.
Look at this, Drew. I'm trying to help him here, Drew. He doesn't floss. How about mouthwash? You use mouthwash?
Yes.
Okay, so you mouthwash and you floss. How many times a day do you do it?
I don't floss.
No, I said you mouthwash and you brush. I'm sorry.
I brush usually twice unless I fall asleep randomly.
Oh, so you fall asleep and you say, screw it. I'll just floss tomorrow. I'll just brush my teeth tomorrow.
Sometimes I'm
why
tired. I
not?
just forgot.
Yeah, well, who cares, right? It's just teeth. They fall out. I got a tongue. I got gum. Wonderful. Anyways, Will Kunkel, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we will be talking to Yankees and Westwood One Sports media personality, our friend Drew Casey, here on the Sports Loudmouth.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Is this 90s music? 631-672-3108 is the number to call. Where do you find this music? You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Daryl Marks, my co-host, Speedy PD. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy PD every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Any of the shows that are on our network, check out our local listings. All you have to do is go to our website, www.worldwidesportsradio.com. By the way, Carl, he asked me, Canadian dinner or doggy biscuits? Canadian dinner. And by the way, the Canadian dinners over there are all like, I'm just going to say, this is honestly, and you're going to have a heart attack. If you live in Canada for a significant amount of time, you're going to have a heart attack. Everything is fried there. Everything I ate was fried. I must have gained at least 20 pounds being over there. I feel like a fat, a fat sludge of crap. I came home. I've never gone to the bathroom so many times after I left Canada. I've been on the bowl at least 20 times since I've come home. It just came right through me. After I started actually drinking water when I came back, because the water tastes like piss over there. Even bottled water tastes like piss. It was disgusting. I told my girl, I don't want it. I don't want it. Anyways, let's get into it. As now we have our second guest, and we're very happy to have him on. We are talking to Yankees and Westwood One sports media personality, Drew Casey. Drew, what's up, man?
Not much. When do you want to go to Rogers Center with me and catch a Yanks game on the road in Toronto?
I don't know if it would be anytime soon. And maybe because it's not Niagara. I mean, I will never go to the Niagara Nightmare again. I've already come out and said, I told my girlfriend's mother, I will never step foot next to that falls again because I think it's bad luck. Ever since I looked at the fall, it gave me bad luck. So no falls for me. I'm going to stick to Toronto. I was actually going to go. I'm waiting for my credentials to come through. I might be going to the NHL All-Star game in Toronto, but now I'm kind of contemplating if I even want to step foot on that land again. So there you go. So maybe with you. Maybe with you. Me and you, we're buddies. I think we're somewhat buddies. I mean, we've never met each other.
We'll find out in Toronto, I guess.
That's true. I mean, that's true too. I mean, if nobody tries to kill me, I mean, seriously. Anyways, Drew, the New York Yankees this offseason, there was a lot of questions. They needed to make big moves. Juan Soto was the move to make. He became available. As we all know, San Diego spin the wheel and made the deal. As a matter of fact, they couldn't even afford the deals that they gave to some of these players. They were $50 million in the hole that they had to borrow at the end of the season, some people say. And then the Yankees make the trade. I didn't like the trade. I think they gave up one of their best young pitchers in baseball. I think the kid is a fantastic talent. He could play in the bullpen. He looked like he was going to be a pretty good starter. Did you think that the Yankees won this trade? Especially if they can't re-sign him in the offseason, or do you think that the Yankees gave too much in this trade?
I think history will say if they can't re-sign him and if they don't at least get to the World Series this year, then probably you look back and say that was a tough one. To your point, they gave up a lot of pitching, whether you're talking about Michael King, Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, those two maybe very similar. I would have loved if they could have kept one because those guys were flexible. And I don't know if you were referring to Drew Thorpe, the other guy down in AA and AAA who was just tearing it up.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave up a lot. They gave up Higgy, great guy. The biggest fact about him, longest tenured Yankee, locker room guy type of a deal. I think they'll, be okay there. But yeah, to answer your question, it's it is a move where if they don't re-sign him and they don't do big things on the field this year, that you're going to say, okay, that was maybe not the move to make, but that hasn't happened yet. So I think you got to see the fan base clamoring for some big moves. That's about as big as you're going to get in this offseason. So they're going for it. They're certainly going for it.
So we've heard a lot of rumors that Juan Soto is not guaranteed to re-sign with the Yankees. Now, he's interested in going to the Mets. He might be interested in going back to the Phillies with Bryce Harper and Trey Turner. What are your thoughts on like how realistic it will be for the Yankees? What do you think the market value will be, especially now with the Ohtani contract maybe setting the market a different direction?
Yeah, well, I mean, the arbitration deal or the deal that they made to avoid arbitration in the mid-30s, I think it was, 31, 33.
31.
Something like 31, okay. So, I mean, that's setting the market, now, if you will, for 1 year. So you're going to have to pay at least that, regardless of the season he has this year. I don't know if they go as high as Ohtani, given obviously that I don't think Juan Soto is going to be the fifth man in the rotation or anything like that. But it's going to be tough. I mean, right? They have a lot of outfielders. Judge is not going anywhere. Stanton's contract is there. You're hoping that he turns it around, but he's also going to DH likely for 85% of the games that he plays the rest of his career. So there's going to be a spot. I don't love Judge in center field. I don't know if the Yankees necessarily do either, but he can play the position. He wants to play the position. He plays it extremely well. You just bring in the whole injury concern because you've got more movement going two directions instead of essentially one. But I don't know. I mean, I think a lot's going to depend on, I don't think anything gets done before the season starts. I will say that. I don't think that happens. And with that said, I don't think anything happens during the season. So a lot's going to depend on what happens. If they have a tough year, that could lead to a tougher way to re-sign him because ultimately he's so young. I think he wants to win a few if he can in the rest of his career.
We are talking to Yankees and Westwood One sports media personality Drew Casey, friend of the show, and we're speaking about the Yankees. He's a big Yankee guy, and the Yankees make a move this week. I was over there in Canada, in Niagara, having my Niagara nightmare of a week, and they make a move. They bring in Marcus Stroman, ex-Blue Jay, for 2 years, $37 million. I thought it was a very good contract, a very good deal for the Yankees. 32 years old. He's your third guy right now in the rotation, maybe fourth, depending on how everything falls. And he still has something left. He had a very good season last year with the Cubs. And I think there's a lot of questions where the Yankees still go. They could still go after Blake Snell. There are stories that they're interested in Blake. Maybe they add somebody else that could become available moving forward before the season starts. What were your thoughts to the Stroman move? Did you like it? And do you think the Yankees are done as far as starting pitching is concerned?
I'll say the Stroman deal, it actually surprised me a little bit that they were able to, that it just seemingly came out of, not a whole lot of speculation or anything like that. I think it's a great signing. A guy that certainly has something left in the tank. We've seen what he can be in spurts with the Mets and spurts with the Cubs, plenty of times with the Blue Jays. Local guy, has some fire, right? Has some personality, and some people will look at that as a positive, and some might look at it as a negative. That's totally fair, and I think Marcus understands that. But I think that's something the Yankees need, right? Right? They need some kind of a spark in addition to being good baseball players, right? Stroman, you say third in the rotation. If he's third in the rotation, something's gone exceptionally well. I think he could be as high, frankly, as 2 behind Cole. You don't know what you're going to get from Rodon necessarily. Obviously, you've got Cortez coming back-ish from multiple injuries down the stretch. Clark Schmidt was really strong. I think there's all those guys really could emerge kind of in that 2-3 role behind
Garrett Cole.
Behind Cole, of course. Do I think they're done? I don't think they are. I think you want to have someone who you can say is a number 2, at least in my eyes. All these guys, again, certainly could be. And then if they're all pitching well, you've got 5. Obviously, injuries are going to come into play. I'm excited to see Luis Heel coming back. A lot of people forgot about him. Tommy John missed all of last year. He should be back at some point. And then you've got maybe some of these guys from, spot starts and extending from the bullpen and things like that. So I actually really, really like the deal. And I think Yankee fans are really going to like seeing Stro on the mound and doing his thing.
Well, just so everybody knows, Marcus Stroman is from my hometown. He's from Patchogue, Medford area. I know his family. I know his brother is going to be a pretty good baseball player too. He's going to be drafted soon, and his father is an interesting cat. Marcus, I met him a couple of times. He's an interesting, very cocky, very confident guy. He grew up a Yankee fan. I know everybody sits here and everybody thought he was a Met fan because he's from Long Island. He grew up a Yankee fan. He's been wanting to go to the Yankees for years, and he gets his wish. The Yankees make the move. They pull the trigger. We'll see how he works. This is a guy that's pitched very well in Yankee Stadium too over the years, so it could be a good fit. We'll see. He's going to have a chance to play in front of his family, and trust me, the Stroman family, very, very confident family. So 5'7". He doesn't look like much, but personality, he's got a huge ego. I could say that. A very, very huge ego. Probably the biggest ego out of all the pitchers the Yankees have. He believes he could be the best pitcher in baseball. So he's 32. We'll see what he can do, but I was happy with the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Contracts aside, I mean, I really want to go back to the whole, he's got that fire, or as you say, ego. I mean, it's something that spirit that I think will positively impact this team. When I think a lot of the narrative, at least initially, and maybe even still days later, is kind of the opposite, and I'm not really buying that. So I'm excited to see that surprise people.
I want to see the fire of him in you, man. When you get a chance to be next to Marcus, I want that fire. I want you to, bring it in, breathe it in, and just go crazy, because Marcus, he's got the tattoos all over his neck and his arms, and he's walking, and he's very confident. He does the what is his name? Yeah, Conor McGregor walk when he walks into the stadium. I mean, that guy, I will say it. Every time I've met him, the guy is so confident about who he is as a person. So I give him a lot of credit. I just want to see him produce when the time comes.
So you mentioned that you don't think the Yankees are done in terms of getting maybe another second starter type. Like, what targets do you think, either a trade or free agency, that do you think the Yankees could realistically get?
Well, you guys probably saw the reports. I guess it's a week or two ago now that they were close with Snell. I think that's still something that, a lot of these reports sometimes, and as you guys well know, and many of the listeners know, that those are on purpose, right? To from one camp to the other, to a national source or a local source that's well respected. I think Snell is a target. Other than that, no one really comes to mind as a big land to me. I would think that a lot of the energy right now is on trying to get Snell, because again, we've seen two kind of splashes so far. I would call them Soto and Stroman. At least Soto for sure, big splash. Stroman at least a moderate ripple to maybe a splash. They had Verdugo earlier, which is a nice piece, adding in versatility. But I would say Snell. I'm curious to see kind of how that all turns out. Again, you mentioned the situation with the Padres and such. So we'll just have to wait and see.
As everybody knows, we are talking to Yankees and Westwood One sports media personality Drew Casey. Drew, you go into the season this year, and there was a lot of questions. Offensively, they just really didn't produce. The lineup has no left-handed power. And going into the offseason, the most important thing the Yankees needed to do, Brian Cashman, bringing him back. I don't care what anybody says. He has not lost his edge. I still think Brian Cashman is the best GM in baseball. Now, has he done well when it comes to bringing in free agents over the last couple of years? There's a lot of questions to that. But the guy knows what he's doing. What is it, 35 consecutive winning seasons? I mean, no sports team's ever done that before, and the Yankees have. Now, have they won a championship in 14 years? The answer is no. But it's not very easy. Look at the Mets. When was the last time the Mets won a championship? I don't know, 1986. So it says a lot when you have an owner that likes to spend billions and billions of dollars. But I will say this. You look at what the Yankees needed to do in the offseason. They added Verdugo. They added Soto, two left-handed power guys. Verdugo hits for average. I think he fits very well with this Yankee team. And by the way, now he's going to go after the Boston Red Sox. The Yankee fans were throwing things at him over the last couple of years, and now the Yankees are going to have to make him beloved. I was at the game when Soto was getting booed and fans were yelling at him. I told the fans, I say this, tell the story with all the bleacher creatures. I told them, I say, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Yankee next year. What is he? He's a Yankee next year. So I think the Yankee fans need to sit still, stop attacking the players, and go out there and let the Yankees do what they do best, and that's put up numbers. Something they haven't done over the last couple of years. Their offense, which was one of the best offenses in the league for 10 years straight, has been one of the worst offenses in the last 2 years. So, do you think the additions of Verdugo and Soto in the middle of this lineup, or maybe spread out this lineup, do you think that this offense is going to be one of the elite top 5 offenses in baseball if they stay healthy?
If they stay healthy, yes, for sure. You need that protection for Judge, right? Judge is still going to be the centerpiece of this. I've heard and read things. Oh, it's Soto and Judge's team now, and like I'm not buying into that. It's Judge's team. He's the centerpiece. He's also the captain, of course, as we all know. Soto's going to play a huge role. You've got that lefty-righty mix in there as well. Verdugo could be your 7 hitter. I mean, that's some serious depth in the lineup. Again, assuming everybody's healthy, and we all know that's not going to be the case for all 162 games and such. I think DJ LeMahieu has a better year than he had last year, and frankly, he couldn't really have much of a worse year. Is he a leadoff hitter or a 2 hitter in this lineup? Probably not. But again, you put him in that 7-8 position, and then assuming Austin Wells is the everyday catcher for the most part with Trevino, those guys are. I'm talking all bottom third here. We're not talking about any of those names like Stanton, of course, who had a very difficult year. He'll be the first to tell you that it was unacceptable what he was able to do. And all those guys that had bad years, just think of if just one guy gets back to normal, or if 2 or 3 get back to slightly below their normal, this offense should, I think, easily get inside that top 5 category, definitely easily into the top 10 in the league. But it all comes down to health, and the Yankees have been hit with that recently. No excuses, of course, in the Bronx, but it is a reality. So they need to be looking at ways to continue to make sure they're doing the best things. Obviously, it's not that simple. Hit by pitch can derail a season, and we all know that too. But I think they could be a top 5 offense for sure if they stay healthy.
So one of the guys that was polarizing of how much money he was going to get was Yamamoto too. Was he going to get 250? Was he going to get 300? The Dodgers ended up keeping 325. So where did you stand on how much you wanted the Yankees to get Yamamoto and how much you would have given him? Obviously, they tried to give him $300 million before the Dodgers came in.
It's tough. I mean, the market is just. I mean, you've got the Dodgers, you've got the idea of Steve Cohen. I think Mets fans and yourself, Speedy, might think differently. I don't know how much of an impact on the market he's had actually, as opposed to theoretically. But that's a thing. That's a thing in market dynamics. I think 300 is about as high as I would have gone in total with the 50 annual. I mean, you just don't know. Could he be another Shohei, or from the pitching side only? Obviously, is he going to be a Cy Young candidate? Maybe. Is the more inning? What's the effect of much more innings going to do on him? It's a big risk. Was it worth it? Maybe. But when you're throwing all this, they don't have unlimited money. It's pretty close to unlimited, but you're not gonna waste it, right? Because you want to re-sign Soto. I think that comes with the deal. When you give up what they gave up, essentially 5 major league ready players, 4 of them who are pitchers. You have to be kind of all in there. And if they're going after Snell, like we've heard, you need some of that to spread around. And I kind of like they went for it again, but they did not go over the top. I think the Dodgers did go over the top, but they might have the last laugh, or they might be, wasting money.
I will say this: if the Yankees had Blake Snell, they had a very good offseason. I mean, Blake Snell won a Cy Young in the National League, and Garrett Cole won the Cy Young in the American League. So you honestly have a 1-2 punch that were the best pitchers in baseball in both leagues. So if the Yankees get Blake Snell, I mean, a consolation prize of not getting Yamamoto is pretty damn good. So I don't know why any Yankee fan would be pissed off that they didn't get Yamamoto, and they're probably going to get Blake Snell on a cheaper contract. I mean, Blake Snell will probably ask for 5 years. He's going to want between 2 and 240. That's what he'll probably get. And the Yankees will probably oblige. I think the Yankees will give him that kind of money, and they could defer a little bit because we all know the Dodgers like to do that, as they did it to what? I don't know, Friedman. They did it to Betts. Now they've done it to Ohtani. And what's next? Hey, let's buy the league. Hey, well, let's get the commissioner. Let's defer him, that idiot. Anyways, oh my God, I'm so sick to my stomach. And every time I think about the Dodgers, it makes me sick to my stomach because this team. They bought their team. They're going to try to win 3 championships in 9 years. And then what is the Magic Johnson owner group going to do? They're going to sell the team, and they're going to say, okay, now you can take Ohtani and pay him the $700 million. You can take Yamamoto and you can pay him the $300 million, and Freeman the $300 million, whatever, the $190 million they give him, and Betts the $300 million. We're not going to do it. We're just going to sell the team for quadruple the money that we bought it for. So I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen with the Dodgers. They know what they're doing. They know they're not keeping this team. They just want to win a couple of championships and then sell it to the biggest bidder. It's not going to be Mark Cuban anyways, because he's the idiot that sells the Dallas Mavericks to an owner that makes no sense, who knows nothing. And she's leaving him in charge of it. So it doesn't make any sense. My final question for you, the American League East, there's a lot of good young teams now. I mean, obviously, the Tampa Bay Rays will always be up there because they know how to trade players and bring players. By the way, that trade for Glasnow was superb. I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to win that trade. No question they are. They always do. And the Blue Jays are good and young. Everybody thought that Ohtani was going there, but nevertheless, they have a pretty good young team and a roster that could win. And then you have the Orioles. What are your thoughts of the Baltimore Orioles as well, with the young talent that they have? Do the Yankees, even with the talent that they added this offseason, even if they added Blake Snell, are they the beast from the East again?
I think the Orioles are going to be a problem for a long time. I really do. With all the young talent that they have, they were so bad for so many years. And of course, you get all those draft picks, all those young guys as a result. And almost every guy that they brought up worked out to a huge degree last season. Obviously, you're going to think about the league has tape on all these guys now at the big league level. So there'll be some adjustments. I don't think the Orioles have as good a season this year as they did last season, mainly for that reason. I still think they're an 85-ish, maybe 90-ish and fringe playoff team. I believe the Yankees got better. I'd say the Blue Jays and the Rays are in about the same spot. And I think the Red Sox had a down year last year. This is a division that I think could see, and we were really close to it this past year, that could see 5 winning teams, which is really hard to do. Part of that is I still think the AL Central is not very good.
Oh, God, it's horrible.
And out west, the A's and the Angels, especially the Angels now, and probably the Mariners fall back to earth a little bit. So I think you've kind of got 7 to 8 bad teams or below average teams there, which could allow 5 AL East teams to be above 500 based on all that movement and the new scheduling matrix, yada, yada. But I think the Orioles long term over the next 10 years are going to contend for a division the last week of the year 7 or 8 times.
Wow.
I'm not saying they're going to win it. They're going to be in contention with a week to go. Or they've already locked it up. I really was impressed with what they were able to do.
Why doesn't baseball have one of those, tournaments like basketball? Hey, let's have one of those tournaments, and whoever wins gets $500,000, which is nothing to a baseball player.
No, they'll just defer that money.
Well, you know what though? It could be a lot. I mean, the Kansas City Royals win that in-season tournament. These guys on minimum deals, making $700,000 a year now. I mean,
I think that if you win that
almost
tournament,
double on their salary.
I think if you win that tournament, you automatically make the playoffs. That should be fun.
Automatically a wild card team or like a one-game wild card if you don't actually make
60
it.
and 100 playoff team.
It doesn't matter for the season. You play for the tournament.
I think it'd be fun. I mean, the dog days of summer or June baseball or July, even early July, right before the All-Star break, coming out of the All-Star break.
Come on,
it'd be fun.
A losing team A losing team that wins the tournament goes all the way to the playoffs.
Congratulations, the first 62 and 100 wild card team. That was just as bad as the 8 seed in the NBA Eastern Conference, making it at like 35 and 40 or whatever.
No, you mean the 10 seed in the NBA playoffs.
Oh, that's
now.
right. Oh, yeah. The great play-in teams.
Oh,
Just
my
the
God.
NBA needs more crappy teams in the playoffs.
Oh, it's the jerseys. It's the court. That's why we love it. Give me a break. It's a sales, international gig for basketball to bring in more money and more sales. That's all they're doing. It's ridiculous. And by the way, the Lakers won that. Where are they right now? They're the outside looking in. So,
Ready to fire their coach
Yeah,
at any
so-
point in time.
congratulations to the Lakers.
Did you see the banner though? It looks really nice.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, unbelievable. It's so sexy, right next to all those championships that they won, which they'll probably never win again. So congratulations.
That now trumps the Indianapolis Colts AFC finalist banner of 2014. That'd be the most pathetic banner to hang up. We didn't win our division. We didn't go to the Super Bowl. No, let's just hang up a banner. AFC finalist for the Indianapolis Colts in a game they got smoked in 49-14 or something, and then decided to blame everything on Deflategates.
Oh, don't get me started on the Patriots. All I'll say is, I heard your Jets monologue a little bit at the top of the hour.
Thank you.
It's not going to be the case, but I was really hoping that the last game Bill Belichick coached was a loss to the Jets at home.
And it was. Well,
It was as a Patriots head coach, but he'll end up somewhere.
Yeah. As a Jet fan and as an angry Jet fan, I was so pissed off that the Jets won that game. Okay.
Yeah,
I
Jeff,
was
I know.
very upset. So I thank the Jets for winning a game they shouldn't have won once again. Thank you. Thank you to the Jets. Thank you to the organization. Thank you to Robert Saleh screwing up the offseason for us. Oh, and by the way, Robert, thank you for those stupid press conferences that you gave us at the end of every single game. Thank you. I'm expecting it again next year. Thank you to the Jet fans for being idiots all over social media. Thank you. Oh, man, I'm sick to my stomach. Anyways, we love you, Drew. Keep up the good work. We will talk to you early before the season. In the next couple of months, we definitely want to get you on, and we'll see what you see on this Yankee team and this Yankee roster. And maybe they're a contender this year or a pretender, as we all know. Hopefully it doesn't happen. I'm a Yankee fan, so I want to see the Yankees bust up some balls, if you know what I mean. Speedy likes to bust balls, right?
No, I don't.
You like balls.
I don't care about balls.
How about goat balls? You like goat balls?
We're not doing the goat balls.
I mean, goat balls are good. I actually
I do
enjoy
not
them.
want to have to think about that.
Goat balls are good, man.
Drew, for context, we had former Knicks point guard Chris Childs on the show a couple months ago, and somehow we got into a tangent about French cuisine and balls. Oh yeah, that's what it was. We were making fun of the Clippers because it's easy to do because they traded for James Harden, and they somehow it ended up going with, there's not enough balls to go around.
How
So
about
then-
rhinoceros balls?
Okay, it doesn't
That
matter.
was a big
Can I-
ball,
Can I
man.
tell Drew the story?
No, I'm asking you about rhino balls. You wouldn't try it?
No.
Even if it was edible?
No,
Some
I don't
pepper,
care.
some
I'm not messing with
hot sauce.
I'm not messing with a 700, 800-pound creature.
I'm not telling you that. What are you? I'm telling you to eat his balls off his body. It gets cut off, man. And
Okay, I don't care.
I mean, just try it. It's edible. You've tried
I don't
everything.
care.
We'll put some cheese on it.
I don't care. I am not eating the balls of some ginormous creature. So basically, we got into a tangent with him about all this French cuisine, and he was saying how gross it was when he tried it. So I'm like, so now I'm scarred to eat anything in France.
You should still go to France. It's a lovely country.
Oh, it's lovely, all right. Except when you
smuggle food from Andorra.
Except when you walk on the outskirts, everybody there is on drugs. I mean, you walk around, they're all on something, man. They're walking like zombies. I feel like I'm in World War Z when I'm there. When I've been there in France, I had the opportunity to check it out. I DJ'd over there for a couple of weeks, and I got a chance to check it out, and not a fan of it. But hey,
and all those
beautiful.
guys are direct ancestors to everyone that gave Errol problems in Toronto.
That's true too.
Yeah, maybe you should just stay in this country from now on.
Maybe I should. I mean, maybe I should just hide away in this country in a dune or something. But anyways, we appreciate you, Drew. Keep up the good work. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, take care, guys. Thanks for having me.
Drew Casey, Yankees and Westwood One, sports media personality. Fantastic. Great personality. And he knows his Yankees.
Yes.
So, you know what? I've had a very crummy week, and rhino balls wouldn't be bad. I mean,
all right, you enjoy them. If you want to try them so
we have
much.
to share. They're big. We have to
Okay,
share.
go share them with, I don't know, Kenny.
Why can't you try it? What's
Go
wrong
share it
with
with Kenny.
What is wrong with having
I'm
some
not
rhino
trying
balls?
some other balls.
Why?
And by the way, Kenny, the Seattle Mariners did not win the World Series this year. It was the Texas Rangers.
Don't we love Kenny? He called up a couple of years ago. He was talking about Eli Manning. Eli Manning was retired for 2 years. I love Kenny. Kenny's funny, man. I can't help it. I love that kid, man. Well, he's not a kid. He's a man, but I love him. He's running after geese. I mean,
It'll be like a Manny Ramirez show. We'll make it on Kenny. Kenny being Kenny.
Kenny being Kenny. That's what his show should be called. Kenny being Kenny. That's a great show. I mean, Kenny just comes in. All right, guys. He's looking around. I just smoked some wax, guys. Guys, does Aaron Judge play football? Is he a tight end?
If you
Does he play for the Giants?
Oh yeah, I'll take Aaron Judge on the Giants offensive line. How much worse can he really be than Evan?
I love him, man. I love him. Kenny is the funniest guy, man. He really is. I get a riot out of every time he calls the show. Kenny, call tomorrow. It's definitely, it's a riot. I don't know if anybody's ever heard Kenny from upstate, White Plains, wherever he lives now, in the Catskills of New York or wherever he's living. We love him. Kenny is a unique personality that calls the show here and there, and he does a show on our network on Sundays. So you can check him in the morning. I know Snug loves him. Snug enjoys his content, and I checked out his content. Except guys wearing robes on the show and looking unprofessional, Kenny, I think we're a match made in heaven. Anyways, Speedy, again, we will talk about this at the end of the show. All right, we're talking about the rhino balls.
I'm not going to try to talk about rhino balls.
I'll get some pepper, some hot sauce. You like hot sauce?
Yes, I'm not eating another creature's balls.
It's not a creature's balls.
I don't care what it is.
You don't even know. I won't even tell you it's rhino balls.
I don't care.
I'll
I'm
tell
not
you it's
doing blind
meatballs.
test tasting.
I'll tell you they're meatballs, and you won't even know it's rhino balls.
I'm not doing a blind taste test. Get some other pawn to do it.
It probably tastes good, by the way.
Again, Kenny, you want to be the experimental one for that? It's all you.
Well, Kenny, he's not a Cowboy fan. As we know, he's a Giant fan, and hopefully when he calls the show, he knows who the starting quarterback of the Giants is. Anyways, why don't we get into and finish up our thoughts to the games this weekend. Speedy, we went through the Cleveland game. Let's get into, let's say, the Kansas City game. Let's go.
Yeah, so we were basically saying it in small depths with Will Kunkel. The Dolphins just got all hurt. Everyone is offensive, defensive line and injured. And the Chiefs in the game of trenches in the snow, you need to be able to win in the trenches. And the Chiefs just dominated in that. Isaiah Pacheco had a good enough first half to really suffice. Second half didn't really do much, but the Chiefs were able to throw the ball a little more in the second half. And Miami just could not find an offensive rhythm at all.
Tua was completely out of control when it comes to his accuracy in the game. This is one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. He was not accurate in this game, maybe because it was cold. It was -4 with the wind chill. It was one of the coldest games in NFL history. And listen, the Chiefs played a better game. They've played in this weather before. Patrick Mahomes has a strong arm, much stronger arm than Tua. And you saw it in this game. Patrick Mahomes made the plays. And by the way, they got a lot of calls. Every call went to the Chiefs. And I'll tell you, I think a lot of the game had to do with the calls in the game. I don't know why the NFL, and I'm not saying it's the referees that won the game for the Chiefs. I don't understand why the referees always have the Chiefs back. You see Patrick Mahomes complain about a play and there wasn't a call, and then 2 plays after, they make a 15-yard call that didn't even look like it was a penalty. So it's a huge problem. The NFL needs to stop with this whole Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs situation. We all know they're Swifties. We all know Taylor Swift has a huge following, and it would be great for the NFL to have all those Taylor Swift fans rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't want to hear it. I want them to go up to Buffalo and look like the poor offensive team they have been all season long. They have not been the offensive team they were over the last couple of years, and they've had problems this year putting up the numbers against good defensive teams. I think the Dolphins had a great season. Raheem Mostert did not have a good game, 8 carries, 33 yards. Tua didn't run the ball like I thought he could have run the ball in this game when they needed to. And what happened to Achane? What happened to him? Why didn't they run the ball more to Achane, who was healthy in this game? Tyreek Hill had 1 touchdown, that long touchdown. That was really it. That was it for the game. There was no offense from this team. Waddle was contained to 2 catches for 31 yards, and that's why they lost the game. There was no offense. It was putrid. And I have to give the credit, a lot of credit to the Dolphins defense for all the losses that they had. The losses to one of the better, really 2 of the best pass rushers in the league, 2 of the top 15 pass rushers in the league. They did very well. They kept it very, very close, but they couldn't put up the numbers. And that's why Kansas City. And by the way, stop with the dancing after the game. There's Taylor Swift and, and all that Brittany Mahomes and all that stupid dance. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it anymore. It's reached out. I want to see them dance when Buffalo dances all over their faces on Sunday night. So that's what I thought about the game. Thank you, Taylor, for having those long legs. That's about it.
Carlos trolling Kenny in the comment section, listing Phil Simms, Jeff Hosletter, and Kerry Collins as the Giants starting quarterbacks for this year.
Kerry Collins.
Kenny did not fall into the bait.
Green Bay and Dallas.
Well, yeah, we went over a lot of the defensive deficiencies because the Packers did very well on third down. They did very well at attacking the slot areas. The great Deron Bland that all the Cowboys fans love, leading the league in interceptions. Well, they decoyed away from him a lot of the time, and these other safeties did not catch up. Romeo Doubs had a huge game in that one. It wasn't really Jaden Reed. I thought Jaden Reed would be more involved. It was actually more Doubs, and they used the tight ends very well, too. And I give Matt LaFleur a lot of credit. Aaron Jones, I'll give Josh credit. He was bickering with me on his show about whether Aaron Jones would have a big impact just coming back from injury, but he played very well as well. And that defense, if they were able to stop the run, they looked pretty good, and they were able to do that.
Here was the difference. A healthy Aaron Jones, 21 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. I believe Aaron Jones' best, I really believe his best career game, and not because of the yards or the touchdowns. He just looked the best that he's ever looked, and he completely ran all over the Cowboys defense. And by the way, where was Micah Parsons to stop him? I don't know. Maybe he was sitting on the bench, or maybe he wasn't playing, or maybe he was, and he was hanging out and drinking on the sidelines. I don't know what was going on with that defense, but that defense did not show up that day. And that secondary, Dan Quinn, he deserves that Seattle job. This defense is one of the best in the league. It's been one of the best defenses in the league since he's taken over. And you can't really attack him for a bad game, but boy, oh boy, that Cowboys really laid up a lousy goose egg in a game that they honestly were a better team to the Packers. I love what I saw with Jordan Love. He's 16 for 21, 272 yards and 3 touchdowns. He is not Aaron Rodgers. Stop it all over social media, taking shots at Aaron Rodgers, and thank God that we have Jordan Love. That's ridiculous. Absolutely. But I will say this about Jordan Love. In his last 8 games, 21 touchdowns to 1 interception. He has been sensational. 20 touchdowns to 1 interception. He's been sensational for the last 8 games. He deserves a lot of credit to the success of this team. And I have to give the coach a lot of credit in Matt LaFleur, who really changed and had to change the offense through Jordan Love after Thanksgiving, where this team looked like they could have fallen out if they didn't win that game against the Cowboys. So I have to give Jordan Love a lot of credit, Aaron Jones, and coaching. And by the way, Romeo Doubs was sensational. And if they can get Watson up to par, I think this team could be dangerous. They could be dangerous, but I think it's over for them. But
the demons of the 49ers come back.
Everybody knows what I thought about the Dallas Cowboys. They were horrible.
Yeah,
they were just horrible. They didn't show up to the game. Like I said, Micah Parsons was eating Twinkies on the sidelines or something. I don't know. Yeah, maybe he doesn't like Twinkies. Maybe he just likes to, throw people under the bus on his podcast.
Maybe you should take an advice.
By the way, I have to give him a lot of credit on his podcast. He's doing very well on Apple Podcasts. Congratulations to Micah Parsons.
Maybe Micah Parsons should have pulled off a Mark Sanchez. He ate a hot dog instead.
Yes, and Keith, you're absolutely right. Another great quarterback in Green Bay. I don't think it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's Brett Favre. I think he's a little bit under them, but I thought he was a good pick. Speedy will tell you I'm one of very few people that thought that it was a great move for the Green Bay Packers to move up in the first round to get a guy like Jordan Love, who's been good. He's been good all season long. Congratulations to the Green Bay Packers as they head over there to San Francisco to get pulverized. So thank you. All right, Speedy. What do we have next?
It looks like the Lions and the Rams.
A best game of the week.
Yeah, the Lions, I'll give them credit defensively. They held their own in the red zone. I obviously had a lot of passing yards. Matthew Stafford had over 350 yards passing in this game, and Puka Nacua almost 200 yards.
Did you see what happened to his finger, his hand?
Uh-huh.
I mean, the fact that he stayed in, he got smashed, he got killed. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, but I was going to say the Lions were able to hold their own in the red zone. That was a big difference when it came to not allowing them on a lot of the Rams chunk plays all came all at once down the field, and they were able to hold their own against Kyron Williams, who's had a great season. But the Lions run defense, which has stepped up big in the second half of the season this year, definitely showed their own. I think they were able to do well against this offensive line on the interior, which was a big key for them. It wasn't all just Aiden Hutchinson, who did have a good game, but those interior guys stepped up. Offensively, they were able to spread the ball around nicely too. Jared Goff, I threw to, I think, 5 different targets on his first drive and was able to spread the ball around really nicely. David Montgomery had a big impact as well. And that offensive line, you've said it all year, has been the best offensive line in football. They showed their own. Double teaming Aaron Donald a lot, and it's really showed the weaknesses of this Rams defense.
Here's the secret. Sam Laporta, who's not healthy, had a touchdown in the game, plays a big part when it comes to their blocking and helps out that offensive line, which I think is the best in football. Really, I sensational what we watched on Sunday. I'm sorry, Saturday night?
Sunday.
I'm sorry, Sunday. I'm always bad with the days, but Sunday. But it was fantastic. It was a good game. It was a close game. And I'll tell you this about the Rams. The Rams are going to be good for many, many years to come. And Matthew Stafford still has a lot left in the tank. He's seen it. You've seen it. And he's a free agent this year. Now, does he stay in Ramsville, or does he head off and try to win a Super Bowl somewhere else? There's quite a few teams that could be interested in him that's looking for a veteran quarterback that can help win. 25 for 36, 367 yards, 2 touchdowns. He outplayed Jared Goff, and he was getting beaten up. That offensive line could not protect him in this game, but I give him a lot of credit. Puka Nacua was fantastic. 9 receptions, 181 yards. Tudu Atwell, one reception, 38 yards. Cooper Kupp did not have a good day. He really didn't. And that's because he was double and triple team. It was all about Puka. And that's what they're going to have to do in the offseason. They have to make sure that they can keep Cooper Kupp happy. If you have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp next year and a healthy Matthew Stafford, and you help out some of this offensive line woes that they had at the end of the season, this team could be very, very dangerous. Give them a lot of credit. But, hey, the Lions, I like Campbell. And I'm going to tell you this right now. They win this week against the Buccaneers, I think they could beat San Francisco. I think if there's any team that could beat San Francisco, it is them. And I think they have the weapons to do it. I think they have the defense to do it. I just want to see what this team does against a high-flying Buccaneers offense with Baker Mayfield. Who would have thought Baker Mayfield? High-flying Baker? That doesn't make sense. But congratulations to the Lions.
Carlos says the Lions cornerbacks are suspect. Yes, I've been saying that for much of the last 2 months. I wish I said the Lions should have drafted a first-round corner. I'm surprised they didn't. Here's the one thing I will give the Lions credit for. Going back to the Dallas game, too. They've been able to let one player beat them and stop everybody else, which is what they did in this game, too. They let Puka have his day, but they stopped Kupp. They stopped Kyron Williams. And they've done that the last couple of weeks, too. They did it against Minnesota, and they did it against Dallas.
I'll say this, and there was one thing in the offseason that the coaches wanted to do. They wanted to make sure that the Lions could either stop the run this year or stop the throw. And what did they do? What did they work on? Become a better run-stopping team. They're one of the better run-stopping teams in the league this year, and you can see that this defense is really developed under Campbell. So congratulations to the Lions, a team that hasn't won a playoff game in a very long time, and a team that's on the rise. I really think – I love their coach. I'm starting to really like Jared Goff. I didn't like him when he played for the Rams. I thought he was horrible, but he's starting to develop right in front of our eyes, and they have weapons. St. Brown, Laporta, Williams, they have weapons all over the field. They're dangerous, and watch out for them. If they get out of that Buccaneers game, I think San Francisco has something to worry about against this young and have nothing to lose Lions team. So that's my thoughts there. All right, Speedy, next one.
All right, the Bills and the Steelers. The Bills winning at 31-17. They were dominating in the first quarter. Then they got a little bit lazy. They started running the ball a little too much. Josh Allen was not hitting a lot of those shorter throws. So the Steelers were able to catch up a little bit, but Buffalo is still showing why they could be a well-rounded team. They're using the tight ends very well. Was very impressive. Dalton Kincaid had a nice game in that first quarter and in the fourth quarter with some big catches. Dawson Knox with a touchdown. It shows they can game plan well, even with somebody else like Gabe Davis out. And I think that's the big evolution of this offense that you've seen with Joe Brady versus having Ken Dorsey as the offensive coordinator that you saw in the beginning of the season. And that Bills defense, I mean, it's the Steelers offense. It's nothing special, but they still continue to play very well.
I don't know what's going on with Mike Tomlin. I'm very surprised he wanted to stay there, or he's decided to stay there, because it looks like everybody on that team doesn't want him back. I mean, it looked pretty obvious. He walked off the stage. He barely had anything to say to the press. He was pissed. And Najee Harris, I think he came out and said that we need a change. We need a change, which means he thought that they needed a change at coach. I think Najee Harris might not have a job next year if Tomlin definitely plans to come back. It seems like he is, and has come. The Steelers have come out and said that he is going to live out his contract for next year. So maybe Najee gets traded. Jalen Warren is good. He's looked good all season. They found him in the later rounds, but they always do. They find running backs and they find wide receivers. So, and Jalen Warren could be a pretty good pick when it comes to fantasy in the later rounds. So I like that. George Pickens didn't have a good year. I thought he was going to have a better year than he had this year. That was the problem. And could they find a quarterback? I mean, they're another team that has lost Ben Roethlisberger. And everybody likes to attack Ben Roethlisberger, but he was one of the better quarterbacks in the league and a Hall of Fame quarterback. They're another team that's looking for the other switch that's going to take them to that next spot. I don't know if they're going to be able to use the switch, so maybe they should just press play and hope it goes. But the Bills, Josh Allen didn't have one of the better games. Even though he 21 for 30, 203 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he ran a touchdown in, he ran the ball very well. He didn't throw the ball very well in the game. He didn't throw the ball enough in the game, which probably would have put him into trouble if he threw any interceptions. But I like what they did. Dalton Kincaid is a star. I've said that. I think he's going to figure things out even more next year, and he's going to be one of those breakout guys like Laporta. This was a good tight end draft, and I liked Dalton Kincaid. I don't know if you know the story about Kincaid, but he went from one sport to another at the last minute. He played high school football in his senior year, and then he got a job, and he goes somewhere, and he becomes one of the better tight ends in football. And by the way, he didn't even get a scholarship and became one of the best tight ends in the country. Stephon Diggs didn't have a big game. We have to see more of Stephon Diggs if they want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. He needs to explode. And McDuffie is the real deal. You saw what he did against Tyreek Hill. He's going to be hard. He's going to be hard to score against. So I want to see more. And by the way, I don't know what's going on offensively with this team. They need to find that second guy. Obviously, they don't have a second guy right now at the receiver position because of injury. Maybe this week they do when he comes back, and Gabriel. But
Gabe Davis.
Gabe Davis, I'm sorry, but Davis comes. What do you have, a concussion?
I don't remember offhand, but yeah.
I think it was a concussion.
Yeah.
And if Gabe Davis plays in this game, it gives him another weapon and maybe opens up the field for the other guys. But they need him back desperately if they want to beat Kansas City. But the defense needed to do what they needed to do in the fourth quarter, and they did that, and they kicked some field goals. And by the way, it was a very sloppy game. Very sloppy game. One of the sloppier games this week. So congratulations to the Buffalo Bills. Hopefully you run all over that Kansas City Chiefs team. And yes, Sean Smith, I said it.
All right, the last one, the Monday night game, the Buccaneers firing the cannons at the Philadelphia Eagles. They win it 32-9. And as I expected, a lot of tight end play, a lot of slot receiver type play. I thought it was going to be a little more Godwin, but it ended up being a lot of Cade Otton. I think he had a nice game for Tampa. And Rachaad White, using him in the receiving game, I thought they were able to do a pretty good job. He had some big runs chunked in as well. Tampa was settling for field goals a lot. It looked like the Eagles were holding their own, at least in some regards, and it looked like they were making a push at the end of the first half, but Tampa coming out firing in the second half. I think Baker Mayfield did a nice job spreading the ball around, and give credit to that offensive line, too. This is a good Eagles pass rush, and while they did have 4 sacks, a lot of those, I think, were later in the game when the Bucs weren't really trying as hard the same way. For the most part, they were able to keep consistent pressure, and that defense did a very good job containing Jalen Hurts from running and stopping the run themselves too. DeAndre Swift ran for almost 200 yards in the first meeting, and they were able to hold him on his own too. And the Eagles, I don't know where their play calling is at this point, but there's a reason there's a lot of these coaches are being questioned.
Here's what I'm going to say. Nick Sirianni, fire his ass. This team didn't show up. They don't want to play for him. And by the way, Jalen Hurts, who was one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year, what happened to him? Now, he has been dealing with injury all season long. Maybe so. This team has too much talent. They added Shaq Leonard at the end of the season. They added one of the better safeties in the league for the last couple of years, Bayard, at the end of the season. And they still couldn't beat a team that they were so much better than. It shows me one thing. The coach has lost the team. Absolutely. You had one of the best offensive lines in football. You have Kelce, who we'll talk about before the show's over. Kelce retiring. We don't know where this team is. Johnson going to retire? Is Johnson going to move forward with the Eagles? Does he go? Does Graham go? Where do they go here with the veteran players here? And do they start new and they bring in a new coach and a new roster? I don't know. Jalen Hurts is the quarterback of the future for this team. Signs a big contract in the offseason, but maybe we've seen the best of Jalen Hurts. I don't know. But 25, 35, 250 yards, 1 touchdown. A.J. Brown not playing in the game absolutely affected them. There was no question that it did. Smith was all over the place, but they didn't have a second guy and no second option, and they couldn't run the ball. And when they become one-dimensional, as you've seen over the years, when you become one-dimensional in an NFL playoff game, teams are better in the playoffs, and they figured it out, and they dominated the game. Congratulations to Tampa. Congratulations to Baker Mayfield, who's had a sensational season, 22 for 36, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, was fantastic. Rashad White was fantastic as well this year. Congratulations to him. I mean, the weapons that they have, they're dangerous, and their defense is as good as any one of the defense still available and still in the playoffs. Watch out for the Buccaneers. If they can beat the Lions, who would have thought they'd be in the NFC title game? It's unbelievable. It's a great story, and I love Baker. I want to see Baker succeed. I love everything about him. Brown, shame on you not doing what you were supposed to do and keeping him. I think you made a big mistake. And the Buccaneers and Todd Bowles has a job right now because of it. So congratulations to the Buccaneers.
Jets legend Todd Bowles.
I don't know about legend.
Yes, Carl. Yes, Devin Tompkins did have he had a couple nice catches in that game as well. Yes, he did play well. And yes, Carl, the Eagles do miss their old defensive coordinator Shane Steichen, almost making the playoffs with Gardner Minshew.
Like
Gardner Minshew does sound like somebody that would randomly.
Do you like that sound? Was it good?
It was pretty good.
Was it? What was it, like a horse?
It was like a wolf.
A wolf?
You're trying to howl. I know that.
I wasn't. No, I didn't.
Yes, that's what it sounded like to me. Okay.
Ow! That's a terrible horse. I am not a wolf. Okay. Everybody likes to call themselves wolves when they're around women. I'm not a wolf. I'm not even a dog. Speedy, you're like a sheep. You don't look at women, do you?
I'm not going to judge like random stereotypes. You could ask the comment section. Maybe they.
What would you rather, meatballs or women? Meatballs or women?
Okay, I'm not going to eat balls.
I'm just asking you. What would you rather?
I will eat the meatballs because I like the meatballs.
All right, so you rather meatballs over women? Okay. Adam Schefter reports that after the Eagles lost against the Bucs on Monday night, Jason Kelce told teammates he would retire. Kelce declined to mention it to the media after the game Monday, but he was acting very emotional in his press conference. Reports say that Kelce was considering it, even going back in October. Kelce came back this year on a 1-year, $14 million contract, saying that he didn't want to go out on the Super Bowl loss. There were also previous rumors that Travis Kelce could consider retiring as well. Jason was a 7-time Pro Bowl, a 6-time All-Pro player. Only 3 other active players have more All-Pro appearances than him. Kelce started every game in a season in 11 out of the 13 seasons in his career. Travis Kelce is arguably one of the top 5 centers to ever play this game. Top 5. That is unbelievable. I think Jason Kelce doesn't need to prove anything. He's won a Super Bowl. He broke that drought for the Eagles, that horrible suit that he wears and he wanted to wear it again. I don't know if anybody's seen Kelce, Amazon Prime, the documentary of Jason Kelce, and Travis was on it. Sensational documentary if you haven't checked it out. I think Jason Kelce stands for one thing, and he stands for he wants to be great. Every time he steps on that field, he wants to prove greatness. And that says a lot about him. It says a lot about his family life and how much he loves his children and what he had to give up to be the best at his position. And it says a lot about him. Look what they're doing right now with New Heights, that podcast. It's the best podcast on Apple Podcasts. They're going to do big things with that moving forward. Whenever Travis decides to retire, this podcast could turn into a network conglomerate. I mean, seriously, could take over a network. I think they're fantastic. They got great personalities. I think both guys stand for a lot. And their mother and father raised them very, very well. It's sad to see Jason Kelce go the way he is, out as a loser. I know a lot of Eagle haters can't stand Jason Kelce, but how could you not like a person that stands for what he stands for?
And again, somebody that's also played 11 out of 13 years. Every game in a season is insane for an offensive lineman. And when you look at all the great offensive linemen, even of this era too, like besides Joe Thomas, there's not many you could think of as these Iron Man types. Like Trent Williams has gotten hurt sometimes. Zach Martin, so probably another one you would consider as a great future Hall of Famer. He's gotten hurt in the last couple of years of his career too. Like Jason Kelce, even this year when the Eagles had so many other injuries on their offensive line, he stayed his own for a long time. And as a Giant fan, I know how good these Eagles offensive lines have been for years. They find gems, and Jason Kelce was one of them. He was a 4th round pick in 2011. This was a Andy Reid draft pick, a center that was kind of undersized at the time for his draft. And he's a guy that's been just a stabilizing force at that center position for a long time, for a lot of good run games, a lot of good running quarterbacks. They always have these dual threat quarterbacks. And like you said, one of the greatest centers of all time too. And you're talking about these guys in the 80s and the 90s that were so good for a while. This is a guy in the modern era, a guy that can move around so well and play so dominant at his position.
The Athletic reports that the Raptors and the Pacers are very close on a deal that would send Pascal Siakam to the Indiana Pacers. By the way, it did go through. The deal would center around 3 first-round picks and guard Bruce Brown and a couple of other players. Brown was a 6-man for the Nuggets championship team last season and had a few good seasons with the Nets. Siakam is on his last year of his contract, worth about $37.8 million this season. Siakam is eligible for a supermax contract worth around 5 years and $304 million. The Pacers also lost point guard Tyrese Haliburton to an ankle injury that could force him to miss around a month. The Pacers are 23-17, tied with the Knicks for 6th in the Eastern Conference. No longer, because the Knicks win tonight against the Houston Rockets. Thank you to Jalen Brunson, as always. This was a highway robbery, honestly. I mean, it's like the Raptors saying, "Here, take our best player. We appreciate the picks. We appreciate Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown will not be a part of this organization much longer, and we are rebuilding." I love the fact that this organization is moving towards RJ Barrett. What are they, nuts? I love RJ. I did not want to trade RJ Barrett. I was questioning the trade with RJ Barrett. I think the Knicks won on that trade. There's no doubt about that. And there's a lot of questions with this trade, and could they re-sign him? Will they re-sign him? Does he want to be a Pacer? That's the question. Now, they obviously made the move because they believe they have a chance to come out of the East, and they do. If they have a healthy Tyrese Haliburton, you're talking about the best point guard, the best passing point guard in the NBA. And then you add one of the better big man power forward centers in the league, athletically gifted, can go up and get the ball. 1-2 punch, pick and roll at the top of the key would be fun to watch with Siakam and Haliburton. There's a lot of questions on how this is going to work and how long it's going to take to get this team moving on all cylinders, but They're going to be dangerous. I don't know if Siakam will sign back with the Pacers, especially now he can only get the Supermax contract with the Pacers.
Right.
So if he wants the money, he will stay with the Pacers. If he wants to take maybe what, 25, $30 million
And 1
less?
year less.
Yes. I think he goes somewhere else. I think he'll look at other options before he decides to sign back with the Pacers, because even though the Pacers are up and coming team, we still have to see what Rick Carlisle could do with a bunch of good, talented players around his star point guard.
Yeah, you look at the young players last year too. It seemed like the trajectory with Rick Carlisle, like it wasn't working for them. And sometimes that old school coach mixing with new school players wasn't going to work. But this year, you definitely saw the improvement right away in the beginning of the season. You talk about Halliburton, performance-wise, he was probably the best point guard in the league before he got hurt. Maybe him and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander were switching off, but regardless, like he was one of them, maybe the best in the Eastern Conference. And then you look at a lot of these other draft picks, Mathurin and Chris Duarte, they drafted. They're good three-point shooters. Miles Turner, who seemed like he was on the trade block forever, is a good center. So they, in addition to having good players, have a good coach and financial leeway if they want to give Siakam that kind of deal too. And it was surprising too on the Raptors end, like considering how much they were able to try to get out of the Knicks when they traded for OG Anunoby, getting Quigley and Barrett in that same deal. You would think they would try to push harder for somebody like Siakam, but I guess with the unknowing that he's going to sign, because Siakam did say, "Oh, I'm going to go test free agency," maybe that kind of hurt the value for Toronto. So Indiana got a good deal, and now it's up to them to be able to try to keep him, make him happy, so he can stay there. Because I agree with you, if he hits free agency, I think he's going elsewhere.
A woman in Tennessee named Kelly Croft filed a federal lawsuit against James Dolan for sexual assault. She mentioned that Dolan has pressured her into unwanted sex beginning about a decade ago. This woman also made similar claims to Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein, who was arrested in 2020. There is also evidence of Dolan paying for a hotel in Beverly Hills that was involved in one of Weinstein's alleged acts. 2 owners have been forced out of teams in the last 10 years. There have been reports that Dolan wants to sell the team soon, with Dolan saying he doesn't like owning sports teams. The Knicks are second most valuable NBA franchise, currently valued at $6.6 million, according to Forbes. I know Knicks fans are excited that this story came out. I'm sure they're hoping that James Dolan sells the team, but I'm going to tell you guys something. He's not just going to sell the team. And these stories could be allegedly false. Now, Harvey Weinstein is a disgusting pig.
Yeah.
We all know about Harvey Weinstein, and maybe he has a close connection with James Dolan. That does not mean that James Dolan pressured a woman for unwanted sex, okay? She needs to prove it. And that's going to be hard to prove, okay? Does she have underwear like Kobe Bryant where there's 6 semen specimens on it? I don't know. Does she have pictures of him laying on top of her? I don't know. So the evidence to this is still questioning. And I don't care if he paid a hotel in Beverly Hills. What does that mean? He could say, hey, she was at the same hotel. She just so happens to be on the same floor, and she was in my room. That doesn't mean that I had sex with her. So there's a lot that needs to be proved for this to actually go the way that Knicks fans want it to go, and that's to sell a team. I do believe James Dolan will sell the team. I do. I don't know if it's going to be in the next year, but it has been said that by 2025, he plans to sell both the Knicks and the Rangers, keep Madison Square Garden, rent out Madison Square Garden for both teams to play in. So I'm not hurt by these stories. I think James Dolan is a pig.
Yeah,
I believe he is. I don't know him personally, so I don't hang out with the guy. Speedy might. I mean, he likes meatballs. I'm just telling you, he likes meatballs.
I'm not hanging out with James Dolan.
If he hooked you up with meatballs.
No, I'm not hanging out with James Dolan.
I mean, if he hooks you up with good meatballs.
Nope.
What about meatballs?
Nope.
What, you don't like meatballs?
I don't care.
James Dolan meatballs.
I don't care enough about meatballs to go hang out with him.
I mean, it's just hooking you up.
I don't care.
I'm just telling you, it's good. It's good. You don't want any rhinoceros balls. So
No, I don't.
I don't understand why. You can eat regular meatballs. Why not?
I don't care
balls?
about eating balls that are attached previously to living things.
Okay, so what do you think regular meatballs are.
I get it. I'm not saying that they're not, but they're not the testicles of creatures. They're not
What's the
sexual
difference?
organs.
It's meat.
I don't care. They're not
Are
sexual
you going?
organs of
Do you
creatures.
actually know what rhinoceros balls?
I
taste like?
don't give a damn.
I was about to say something else.
Yeah,
I
I know. I was, and and I was not going to go there. But regardless, I'm not eating anything that is served by James Dolan, who James Dolan likes to get himself in a lot of controversy.
I
all
think
the
it'd be
time.
good for you.
I don't care. I don't need to be that person.
I think it'd be. I would, if he wants to hang out with me and give me some of his
Go ahead.
meatballs.
I won't stop you.
Well, we could share.
No,
Why not?
I'm not involved.
You have to take the first bite.
I am not involved.
You have to take the first
I am not involved.
All right, I'll bring it.
I
home
am
to
not
you.
involved.
I'll bring it home to you, and we can hang out and eat the meatballs.
Not
that he
happening.
gives us.
Not
You got to eat it first.
Not happening.
I'll take a bite out of it.
I don't care. You can do it on your own terms. I don't care.
I'm just telling you, you should be open for it. You
Not
like
happening.
meatballs?
Again, there's enough people in the comments section. You could try to lure one of them.
Lure them? I mean, come on.
Manipulate them.
I am not manipulating anybody. I'm just telling you, you like meatballs. I'm trying to hook
Okay,
you up.
which do not
A
correlate.
rich billionaire man gives you
I'm
meatballs.
not
You're not
getting
eat 'em?
involved with anything that James Dolan thinks.
Well, first of all, I don't think this story has any weight. I really don't. I don't care if she accused Harvey Weinstein. That doesn't mean that James Dolan was a part of that. I do believe that she's trying to win money. There's no question that she is. She knows that James Dolan is a billionaire. He's got a lot of money, and he's probably going to pay her off just to leave it alone. Do I think that this story could be true? Yeah, it could be true. What are my bets to it that'll come out to be true? 0%.
Yeah, it has to be like as bad as what he did.
0%. It's only a story because it's James Dolan and he's here in New York and everybody hates him.
That's why I can believe it definitely could be possible.
That's
but
the only
that's
reason
the
why.
only reason he would be forced out by Adam Silver to like be forced out of the team is if like it was as bad as what Weinstein did.
First of all, we have no proof that Dolan had any connection to the whole Harvey Weinstein thing, except the fact that he probably bought a hotel room that Harvey Weinstein went to. Okay.
Right. It's not like he was in the room too.
Maybe he was hanging out. Maybe there were.
I mean, yeah. As far as we know, he wasn't. But I mean,
Maybe he was feeding him some meatballs.
Maybe.
I mean, and
that's not a crime.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's not a crime.
Unless you poison him. But
I mean, maybe he did poison.
no, if that's the case, then yeah, he should be forced to
I
sell
mean,
anything.
have you ever had meatballs with a bag on it?
No.
Meat bags? You ever had that?
No.
You've never had a meat bag?
No.
Oh man, you're missing out, man.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, you should try it.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll hook you up one day. Okay. I'm just telling you, I'll hook you up with a meat bag. I'm just telling you. What are you shaking your head for? I'm trying to hook you up, man. You like meatballs. What's your favorite part of the meatball?
The tenderness of the meat.
Okay, the tenderness of the meat. Whoever, hey, listen, you like meatballs, you like the tenderness of the meat. I've never heard that before.
Any barbecue connoisseur will say the same thing. That's Wes. He works with a lot of barbecue joints. I'm sure tenderness of the meat is something that has come up in the barbecue, the Kansas City barbecue that he works with.
Hey, everybody, I love meatballs because I like the tenderness of the meat. Oh, last story. I'll drink to that. The tenderness of the meat. Speedy Petey says, eat some meatballs. The tenderness of the meat gives you that sweet taste of speed. Anyways, MLB.com's Mark Feinstein reports that the Yankees signed Marcus Stroman to a 2-year, $37 million contract. Stroman is eligible for a third-year option for $18 million if he pitches 140 innings in his second year of the deal in 2025. The Yankees were interested in trading for Stroman in 2019 before the Blue Jays traded him to the Mets. Stroman posted a picture of himself on Instagram in a Yankees jersey before the news officially broke. Stroman said about playing in New York, I'm from New York and I'm a New York boy. That kind of says everything for itself. Stroman had a 3.95 ERA, a 1.26 whip, and 119 strikeouts last season. Stroman has a 3.65 ERA, a 1.25 whip, and 1,091 strikeouts in 1,304 innings pitched in his 9-year MLB career. Do I like this trade? Trade. Do I like this signing? Yes, I do. I don't know what he's going to be in the locker room. I don't think he's going to be a problem because the Mets have no leadership. For all the Met fans that say, oh, good luck to the Yankees, good luck to the Yankees, it's not going to work. It didn't work with the Mets. Here's the difference. The Yankees have Aaron Judge as their captain. The Mets don't even know what a captain is. Their last captain they had was David Wright, and they practically pushed him away. So I could only say this about Marcus Stroman. If he doesn't work out and he opens his mouth, he will be gone. The Yankees will move him. He cannot mouth off to the Yankees management. He will not mouth off to Aaron Boone because he's not going to tolerate it. I think this is a good move because I think Marcus Stroman has always wanted to play for the Yankees. He grew up a Yankee fan. I know that for a fact. And his plan was to win a World Series, which he has never done. And he has a chance to win with a good Yankee team, especially if they land Blake Snell. So I think that if you're a Yankee fan, I think you should be happy with this. I think it was for a pitcher that's been pretty much a number 2 his whole career, I would say. 2 years, $37 million at 32 years old is a steal. So I think he practically wanted to come here, and he was giving the home field advantage. Oh, what do they call that?
Hometown discount.
Hometown discounts to the Yankees because he wanted to come home to the Bronx and play in Yankee Stadium as a Yankee.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's exactly what it was because I think his market value was probably in the lower 20s for the year he had last year. He fell off in the second half, but wasn't all-star, and he
wasn't healthy.
Yeah, I think the Cubs realized that maybe that kind of thing is not sustainable, the types of years he's had, because he's been kind of inconsistent year to year, but he's had some good seasons. What worries me about this is another control pitcher, finesse-type pitcher in Yankee Stadium. Is that going to work after we saw Sonny Gray and some of these other shortcomings that we've seen? Will a ground ball-type pitcher who doesn't get a lot of strikeouts work? And that's why I like the Rodon signing at the time, too, because he was a power pitcher that consistently got 200 strikeouts. Cortez in his top year got close to that kind of thing. Is Stroman going to either adjust to his game or get enough ground ball success to
Carlos
do it?
Rodon's going to be fine.
I like Carlos Rodon. Yeah, I'm not as worried about that. Stroman is the type of pitcher with those types of ballparks. Yes, he's used to it. I understand he has some good numbers in Yankee Stadium. Fine. Is he going to be able to adjust to it on a longer term basis where he's going to be pitching almost half his games in Yankee Stadium? That'll be the big key. Because I agree with you. The money is actually good. If they can establish the locker room quickly with that kind of thing, that's going to be a wild card, obviously being in New York. But if they can establish that quickly, maybe it's not a problem. Because, Carl, for the most part, I think most of his issues with the Cubs were in the second half of the season. I think if he still pitched as well as he did, I don't think he's yapping off to the media as much as you were saying. Yes, I know his interviews sometimes were suspect with the Cubs. And with the Mets, I wouldn't have traded for the Stroman at the time. But you're right. The Mets they had no sense of direction at the time, too. And they still really don't. But we'll see on this move. I just worry about it from a softer type pitcher in Yankee Stadium.
I would agree with you. So I'm interested to see what Marcus Stroman is going to be in this rotation and where this rotation is going to lie in the next couple of weeks. Because I believe that Blake Snell wants to be a Yankee. I think he's come out and said it. I think the Yankees are still trying to negotiate a deal that makes sense to bring a Blake Snell in. The Yankees would be in pretty good shape if they had a Blake Snell to this rotation, because this turns out to be arguably the best rotation in baseball if they do that, because you have back-to-back Cy Young guys in the National League and the American League. You bring in Marcus Stroman. He's the fourth guy. You have Carlos Rodon as your third guy, Nestor Cortez and Schmidt. I mean, this is as good a rotation as any rotation in baseball if they can stay healthy. That's the question.
My apologies, Carl. I thought you were saying that he was not good with the media in Chicago, because he's had some moments of that with the Mets. So I thought that's what you were referring to. My bad.
No,
Carl.
he actually was pretty good with the Cubs this year.
Okay.
But I've heard through, and I know the Stromans. I do. I know their personalities. They're very, very confident guys. They're very confident guys. Their father's a weightlifter, big man. He's a big man. Dude, you see Marcus, he's 5'7". His father's like 6'2".
Wow.
He's a big man and muscular too. And he was a pretty good baseball player. His brother is going to be a nice player too. His brother can hit the ball. So, and he plays multiple positions. So, the Stromans are, from my area, and they're interesting personalities. And I think the Yankee fans some people will like him because he's cocky. And others will probably say when he starts to lose, if he loses, that he's worthless. So I think he'll win. If he's the fourth guy in this rotation, if they had Blake Snell, I mean, who's better?
That looks really good.
I mean, he could be a number 2 in some other rotations. So you have 2 guys that could be number 2s in other rotation as your number 3 and your number 4 guy. So, and then you have Nestor Cortez, who was an all-star a couple of years ago, too. If he can stay healthy, you have him as your 5th guy. I mean, and then Schmidt is your 6th. So, I mean, they could look really good. I also heard that the Yankees are interested in Hader. So, if they lose out on Snell, they could go right to Hader and jump right on the Hader bandwagon. So, I don't think the Yankees are done, like our friend Drew Casey said. So, it'll be fun. It's not over yet. It's January. Pitchers and catchers, in a month?
Yep.
So baseball's right around the corner. It's crazy. It's getting cold out, and baseball's right around the corner. Right there where Jeffrey plays, baby.
Carl says Stroman.
He doesn't play. I mean, he bets over there.
Yes, he does. Carl
So
says
is Carl, by the way.
Stroman will eat innings if he is healthy. Yes, that's another one of the positives for sure. Because he's had some injury issues, but those are mostly at the beginning of his career. So for the most part, the last 3 years he's been pretty durable, except for the second half of this season.
Stroman will eat innings, and Speedy will eat balls.
You wish.
Meatballs.
You wish.
Nice, juicy meatballs because of the texture, right?
The tenderness.
The texture.
Texture's a feel.
I mean,
You don't learn your 5 senses.
Have you ever felt the balls?
Have I grabbed a meatball before?
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
Did you grab it from the bottom or the top?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't know because I don't. I ever analyzed it.
Where would you grab it? On the bottom or the top?
I don't know. Whatever's easier.
All right. So the top, right?
Sure.
I think you're better off on the bottom.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll grab the bottom and rotate it, right?
I don't know.
You stick it in your mouth.
Okay.
All right. There you go. As long as you know that you stick it in your mouth.
Yes, Carl. The Red Sox, Rays,
Sauce.
Twins, and the Braves will be in the area.
Hopefully it's edible. Anyways.
I would hope.
So would I. Anyways, thank you to Fox 26 Houston sports reporter and anchor Will Kunkel for joining us, giving us the time as he always does. And Yankees and Westwood One sports media personality Drew Casey for joining us as well. Oh, it's been a good show. Sorry to all the fans and telling you that just sopping story of my Niagara nightmare. I love that name, Speedy. I'm going to call it the Niagara Nightmare. It'll always be embedded to Speedy Petey as my Niagara Nightmare. You like that, Speedy?
Yeah, and the way you were describing it, it sounds like the next vacation sequel for.
Oh, there's not going to be a sequel of it.
No,
there will never be.
I meant for the Griswolds.
Oh, that's a good job.
That'll be the spin-off.
I like Christmas Vacation.
That'll be the spin-off. Yeah, that'll be the spin-off.
One of my favorite movies. It is my
Yes.
favorite Christmas movie, by the way. Christmas Vacation. I love Chevy Chase.
Yes.
I've heard Chevy Chase is not a nice guy, by the way. So that's just what I've heard. And by the way, Carl says Speedy pounding meat to tenderness. I like that. You like that?
How would I pound it?
You pound it. It's tender. You pound on it.
Okay.
You pound it in your mouth.
All right. Enjoy.
You like the meat?
Sure.
You like the meat? Let it fall in your teeth.
You and Carl can enjoy all the cliches you want.
I mean, you like the meat, so let it fall in your teeth.
Yeah.
I have rhymes too, by the way.
Good.
You like it?
There you go.
I'm going to get a shirt
Poetic
made.
justice.
Oh, I like that movie too. Janet Jackson was hot in that movie, by the way. She looked good. But have you ever seen Poetic Justice?
I have not.
Oh man, you got to look at that ass. Oh, it's really good. Looks juicy, just like the meat you like to pound. I'm just saying. I mean, it looked good, and I love Tupac Shakur, by the way. So it was a great movie. He didn't play his part, okay, but maybe we fit. Could you imagine you play Tupac's part? Could you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, Poetic Justice 2 with Janet Jackson as the old, Janet Jackson, and then you have introducing Speedy Petey. Speedy be like,
and that would lose a lot of box office ratings.
I think it'll be really, really funny. I think you'd be a hit. I think you're a movie star right in front of our eyes, my friend. I mean, how would you present yourself? Would
I
you,
don't know.
Would you slick your hair back?
It's out my control. It's directors.
Would you shave your beard?
It's directors.
All right, but give me like
I don't know. It depends. It's behind the scenes
could-
people.
how would you dress up as a thug? I mean, what would you wear?
I have no idea. I don't think about my thug life because I don't have one. What am I, John Morant? I'm going to be a fake gangster.
I mean, I would like to see what you dress up as a thug.
I don't know. It'd be some exotic color suit.
Okay, yeah. Exotic colored suit. What color?
And then like some dirty, I don't know, some like random button down dirty shirt. I don't know.
That's what thugs look like.
No, Carl, I don't think any movie, any streaming service would accept that if it bombs in the box office.
That's pretty funny, actually. Down in dirty shirts.
Carl, it says dog licks ass, never let the dog pass. Get Speedy the early 90s tracksuits.
Thug Life by Speedy Petey.
And then I'll just die in the first 2 minutes.
Oh, man. Oh. Oh, man. Thank you to all the fans. Oh, we'll have a great. Who do we have on tomorrow?
So at 9 o'clock tomorrow, we are returning to the show for the third time. Ex-MLB outfielder, now working in the Dodgers front office. Greg Golson will be joining us again at 9 o'clock. So,
soon to be a GM. And by the way, he promised us if he ever becomes a GM, he's hiring us. He did say that.
That's right. So you get to go to the Dodgers front office and defer more money.
No, I don't. No. What I would do, and I'm gonna do this as wonderful as I possibly. I want to be a coach. I'd rather be on the bench.
Oh, there you go. When Dave Roberts gets fired, you could take over.
I think I'd be better than Dave Roberts. By the way, he's not even going to win with that team right now. That roster right now. That roster is loaded.
Yes,
not going to happen.
But yes, he'll be joining us at 9 o'clock. And then at 9:30, first time on the show, ex-Minnesota Vikings and briefly New York Jets linebacker Aaron Henderson will be joining us.
Oh, that's the first time.
First time, yes. He played from 2008 to 2013. He played with his brother, EJ Henderson, was also on the Vikings as well at that time.
Did he play for the Bills?
No, he did not. I thought he played for Chicago. I thought I remembered that wrong. I must be mixing up with somebody else.
I'm trying to remember. I remember him on the Jets, but did he play for another
He
team?
played for the Jets in 2015 and 16. Nope, those are the last two. Unless he was on the Bills practice squad or something. I don't remember him with the Bills. I'm trying to think who you might be thinking of, but nothing is coming to me right now for
Pass rusher.
ex-Vikings linebackers. Nothing's ringing a bell.
All right. Oh,
he'll be on at 9:30.
There we go.
Aaron Henderson.
Aaron, a.k.a. the Beast Henderson. We'll ask him if he likes meatballs too.
Sure, you can do that.
And then you can go on a meatball dinner with him.
Sure, if you will care that much.
I think we can arrange it. EJ Henderson, I like that.
Well,
Just
EJ Henderson's his younger. His
No.
older brother.
He was trying to throw the EJ Perry thing. Anyways,
No, that's his brother though. EJ Henderson. Aaron Henderson is the one.
we
we're having
know
issues
that.
with.
We're not dumb. We understand.
Why are you
that.
roping EJ Perry into this?
I don't know, because he brought in AJ Perry. That's what I said. Anyway, thank you to all the fans, as always, throughout the country that listens to us every single week. We went over a half an hour. That's something that we don't do, but we wanted to get the content out there. Again, thank you to our guests, Will Kunkel and Drew Casey, for joining us. Speedy told you who our guests are. I hope everybody enjoys the wonderful weather out here and through Toronto, which is probably snowing again. We might be getting snow again on Friday. So a little bit more snow here in New York as I brought home the snowball. Anyways, good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.